coach's office would have been an interesting one to eavesdrop. Do you dare change that chemistry, particularly if you're expecting a physical game from the Blues? I'm not suggesting one way or the other. It's one of those ones where Dean and Scott would have had a fascinating discussion of, do you rob Peter to pay Paul in that scenario? Moving Shen, who, you're right, totally versatile, can do anything they need him to do, has played with everybody, as Kenny said. But at the same time, it has made Logan Stanley that much more effective. And does that change things if Colin Miller goes into that spot?
Right. And that's what I said, Christian. I think you start with Miller and Morrissey in the game, but you have that in your back pocket. And I don't know, has Logan Stanley played a better game for the Winnipeg Jets than he did in Game 2 of this series? I would think his confidence would certainly be as high as it has ever been going into this game tonight.
That's true. He had a very effective game. His physicality was on full display in game number 2. You look at what the top pair needs versus what the third pair needs, right? And the third pair does get protected. It's not like they bury the third pair like maybe they have in past years or when they didn't have Shen in the lineup. But on that top pair, right, Josh Morrissey and Colin Miller has played a lot on the third pair, but he's also played elevated minutes before in New Jersey. He's a faster player than Luke Shen is, and I don't know if that matters. Maybe matches more of Josh Morrissey's pace than Luke Shen might. These are things we don't know the answers to because we just literally haven't seen it before. So right, yeah. Morrissey, we've seen Morrissey and DeMello, Morrissey and Pionk, and that's basically who Morrissey's played with for the last number of years. So it's going to be interesting to see tonight what impact this change has. And this is a big opportunity for Colin Miller, a guy who has been in and out of the lineup a lot. He's going to have a lot on his plate tonight if indeed he is going to stay in that top pair. But I'm sure he's been hungry and waiting to get an opportunity like this.
Yeah, and there have been times, Christian, we've seen it. He has a mean streak to his game, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he's got a hell of a shot. So I think this is going to be something that it's a different dynamic that St. Louis, to John's point, maybe they knew, maybe they could read through what Arniel was saying about a maintenance day, or maybe they didn't. And they're like, oh, Colin Miller's here? That's different. Huh. So this is a different wrinkle to Game 3. I'll be interested to see how it goes.
I would be shocked if St. Louis was even the least bit surprised by this. John Shannon, as we wrap up, there are no secrets in the hockey world, even as much as teams try to veil them, because the players see what the players see out on the ice.
Yeah, you're right. And as well as I do, Kelly, it's not just the players, too. It's coaching staffs, management teams. These guys have in-house spies everywhere. And they've been keeping track of what's going on in and around the opposition all the time. So I think they probably had a good inclination even yesterday that Dylan DeMello wouldn't play for the Jets tonight. And that's just from a Blues perspective.
Well, again, with him skating this morning, you would have thought, okay, he's feeling a little bit better. But that's why coaches always say, he felt good today, but we'll check in with him this afternoon because when a player's battling through something, then those things can happen from time to time. So it adds an interesting twist for sure to the start of game number 3. When we come back, John Shannon will have his keys to the game. Christian O'Mell will have an update on the 2 games in progress on night number 6 of the Stanley Cup playoffs here on the Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools pregame show on 680 CJOB.
Hey Jets fans, get ready for the Winnipeg Whiteout with Jets gear and TrueNorthShop.com. Choose from a huge variety of official Winnipeg Jets Whiteout apparel, headwear, novelties, and more. Need a new white hat, t-shirt, pants, or a jersey? We've got you covered.
Moving in, shooting, score!
Shop online at TrueNorthShop.com or by visiting one of our Jets Gear store locations.
Fighting crime and crime one drain at a time. There's a reason they call us Mr. as in Mr. Ru.
To every child and family who've needed us since 1875, and all who support us, our hospital needs no introduction. But just in case,
the 11-7, Kelly, than anything else?
Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. But still, though, you have to be disciplined with your shift lengths throughout, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, there's no question. Which is, I think, why they're going to go back to 12-6. Though I think that first of all, they need more speed in the lineup, and Texier brings that. He brings more skill and more scoring opportunities because. Remember, we talked about they've only had 7 shots on goal in the third period. They need more finesse in the offensive zone to get some more opportunities. But I think it goes back to balance too, and just making sure that at key times Jim Montgomery can basically what he's done in that 12-game winning streak was he was just rolling 4 lines. And so hopefully that from his perspective, they can go back to doing that. Texier is a fascinating player, unbelievable skill, and unbelievable finesse. People have wondered, particularly his time in Columbus, of whether he had the heart to play in this game. They actually sent him back to Europe for a year at one point in order to try to improve that. And he came back and was pretty good, but he was a cap victim in Columbus, and that's why he's in St. Louis now. I
remember when he joined Columbus, there was great expectation and much fanfare about him. All right, keys to the game for St. Andrews Parts and Power, where a handshake means something. For more, head to standrewspartsandpower.ca. You touched on a couple there, John. Anything else on your list?
Well, when you do a 2.5-hour pregame show, Kelly, you talk about everything a lot. But what I would say is I think this is a night of discipline for the Winnipeg Jets. We have seen it in the first 2 games. I think if they maintain their discipline and do what they always do well, and they're going to put a ton of pressure on the Blues, and it's going to be the Blues being forced to take chances. And if the Blues take chances, that will create opportunities for the Winnipeg Jets. And it all goes back to pure and simple discipline and playing Winnipeg Jet hockey, particularly in the third period. All right, Mr. Shannon, he will join us for analysis in between the periods. Christian O'Mell with scoreboard updates, and we have 2 games underway as we speak, Mr. O'Mell, on night number 6 of the playoffs.
Well, 2 games are on the ice. One is done as well, as the Florida Panthers have a 2-0 series lead. I did not see that coming, I fully admit. They take down the Lightning 2-0. Nate Schmidt early in the game scores his 3rd of the series. Nate Schmidt, offensive wizard. And then they get an empty netter with a few seconds left. So the Florida Panthers on the road win both in Tampa Bay. Moments ago, Brady Tkachuk scoring in the 3rd period. With about 8.5 minutes to go, Ottawa and Toronto are now tied at 2 as the Senators try to win a game in that series, down 2-0. They have just dropped the puck a couple minutes ago in St. Paul. The Wild and the Golden Knights tied at 0 there. And then, of course, the Jets and the Blues. One game in the NBA playoffs as well on right now with about 8 minutes to go. It is the Knicks up 99-91 in Detroit. Trying to take a 2-1 series lead there. Later on, Thunder, Grizzlies, Nuggets, Clippers. And if anyone cares, Cam Ward, first overall pick in the NFL draft by the Tennessee Titans tonight. All right, thank you, Mr. O'Mell. Will we have a Canadian team win on the road for the first time this postseason? The Winnipeg Jets certainly want to make that happen. That is the pregame show for Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools. Jerome McElroy standing by with Before Puck Drop news, and then we bring you Game 3 from St. Louis. Enjoy on 680 CJOB.
You have been listening to the official Winnipeg Jets pregame show. Getting ready for Puck Drop with Paul Edmonds and Mitchell Clinton. Coming right up on 680 CJOB.
Kettle sample are delectable. Filet mignon?
Oh, no, thank you. Actually, I'd love to, but my dentures have another idea.
Don't miss out on life's appetizing offerings because of ill-fitting dentures. Get set right with Shine Dental. Their expert team helps secure loose dentures while improving your oral health, making eating more pleasurable and ensuring you smile confidently. Available at Shine Dental's 1104 Pembina Highway location.
Would you like to try?
Yes, I would.
Book today and find your shine at shinedental.ca.
The job gets done at St. Andrews Parts and Power. The savings on Coyote subcompact tractors are big, big, big. Brad has stock of Coyote CS Series 2220 and CS 2520 tractors. Plus, get 2.99% for 72 months, a free loader, and $1,000 off until April 30th. Get your Coyote subcompact tractor at St. Andrews Parts and Power, where you'll say, "That guy helped me."
And I can help you too at St. Andrews Parts and Power.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Waters, and Reliable Heating and Air Conditioning is truly a family. My parents started the business over 30 years ago, and today, me and my brother Clint are carrying it on, with customer satisfaction being priority number one. We believe good service is affordable to all our customers, so give us a call if your furnace or AC isn't working like it should. We want you to feel comfortable 24/7. We are family strong, reliable strong, and Winnipeg strong. For details, visit reliableheatair.ca.
You can now get your local news from 680 CJOB instantly on Amazon Alexa. Just add CJOB to your flash briefings on any Alexa device and say,
"Alexa, play me the news."
It's that easy.
Global News at Puck Drop, I'm Jura McElraith. With a few days left on the federal election campaign trail, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh visited Winnipeg to talk of his party's success in pushing the minority Liberal government to make strides on dental care and pharmacare. Elsewhere, Liberal leader Mark Carney spent considerable time fielding questions in BC about his first conversation in late March with U.S. President Donald Trump and the ongoing notion of making Canada a U.S. state. He ended his day in Winnipeg. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre began Thursday in Halifax, citing a little-known federal policy unit that published a report suggesting Canadians might lose faith in traditional notions of moving up by climbing the social and economic ladder. Taking a look locally, over $14,000 worth of drugs are off the street following an arrest by Winnipeg police. Officers on patrols spotted two men carrying a bag into a hotel on Ellis Avenue and quickly leave without it. Police found that bag abandoned in the hotel's common area with cocaine, pills, and bear spray inside. Both men were arrested and were also found carrying over $12,000 in pills and cocaine. The pair now face a list of drug trafficking charges. And finally, the Vatican says more than 90,000 people have paid their respects to the late Pope Francis. So many people lined up to see his body lying in state at St. Peter's Basilica that the Vatican kept the doors open overnight. The lines of mourners waiting to pay their last respects have continued to file past his coffin. Francis died Monday after a stroke. And now, over to your Winnipeg Jets game right here on 680 CJOB.
All rights to this broadcast are reserved, and any rebroadcast, recording, retransmission, or other use of this broadcast without the express written consent of the Winnipeg Jets Hockey Club is expressly prohibited. Live from Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri, this is Winnipeg Jets Hockey on 680 CJOB. Now here's the voice of your Winnipeg Jets, Paul Edmonds.
Although the Winnipeg Jets have won the first two games of the Stanley Cup playoff series with the St. Louis Blues, it would be foolish to suggest they have an inside track to the finish line. In fact, as the series shifts to Missouri tonight for the next two games, a place where the Blues have won 12 straight, this series could take on a completely different look in a few hours. So in understanding the situation, the Jets know that tonight's third game is perhaps the most important for both teams, as Winnipeg could grab it by the throat or have St. Louis jump right back into it. Either way, as we've seen in the first two games back in Manitoba, tonight's contest should be just as tight and passionate, which should make for another great game between these two rivals. And Mitchell Clinton, for different reasons, there will be desperation for both sides tonight, although for the Jets, that should be further motivation to grab the inside track to the finish line.
That's right, Paul. This has been a close series from the drop of the puck in Game 1, and even with the shift in location, it's hard to imagine Game 3 being any different. But you're right, the context of the series changes significantly depending on the outcome of tonight's game. St. Louis is going to do all they can to defend home ice and get themselves back in the series, while Winnipeg will look to be just as defensively sound as they've been to this point and grab another victory tonight. But Winnipeg will have to do it without Dylan DeMello tonight. But this is a group that takes pride in that next man up mentality. If they can answer this challenge, they'll give themselves an opportunity to take another step forward in this series.
It's the Jets and the St. Louis Blues, Game 3, and it's coming up next. You're listening to Play Now, Winnipeg Jets Hockey on the radio home of the Jets, Power 97 and 680 CJOB.
Boston Pizza is Canada's go-to place for playoffs. So this year, we're doing more than just hoping a Canadian team wins it all. We're manifesting it. We're planning the parade. We even got a bus. And we've got the sports bar dialed in, with ice-cold draft beer and an elite playoff menu. Like the guy in the movie said, kind of.
If we plan it, we will win.
So when it's game day, post up early at BP and cheer for the Holy Grail to come home.
Lowry moving in, shoot,
Jets fans, it's your chance to win big all night long with our playoff 50-50 raffle. Get your tickets now for a shot at multiple cash prizes during the game, ranging from $1,000 to $25,000. Plus, one lucky winner will take home 50% of the total sales at the end of the series. Don't miss out. Text JETS to 20450 for your chance to win. That's JETS to 20450.
This is Winnipeg Jets hockey on 680 CJOB.
So the series shifts, as it always does in a best-of-7 playoff series in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and down to Missouri, a place where Winnipeg won twice in the regular season, both games coming as one-goal victories for the Jets, but now a place where the last loss that St. Louis suffered was against the Jets back on February 22nd, coming out of the Four Nations face-off break. So we'll see what happens here tonight. Winnipeg would like to grab another game, and then who knows what happens coming up on Sunday afternoon. And by the way, that is a noon start for game number 4, noon Central. So we'll worry about game 3 tonight, but game 4 will be taking place for sure. And St. Louis, buoyed by the fact that they like their home crowd as well, which it was captivating today from the standpoint that the way they talk, that being the Blues players and their coaching staff, particularly Jim Montgomery, they feel that they can duplicate the energy that Winnipeg had behind them on Saturday and Monday in games 1 and 2.
Yeah, and it's hard to argue that point. I mean, you think about the big moments in games where, the whiteout really kind of buoyed the Winnipeg Jets, whether it's, partway through one of the big penalty kills that they had in game 2, or, coming out of a big defensive zone shift, or after you score a go-ahead goal. I mean, your crowd plays a really big role in what you're able to do. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic. I mean, obviously there's a lot of experience in terms of both of these teams in terms of playing in the postseason. But I imagine St. Louis is going to have a little bit of that extra energy. Now it's just a matter of what they do with it, right? We saw in Winnipeg in game 1 and game 2, St. Louis coming out and hit everything that moved on the Winnipeg side of things. And did they throw themselves out of position a couple times? Did they take maybe an unnecessary penalty here and there? Possibly. But at the same time, St. Louis is also kind of a desperate team tonight. You talked in the intro about how important Game 3 is in this series, especially with Winnipeg up 2-0. So St. Louis almost has no choice but to come out at that level. And Winnipeg, that's when your structure is so important. You're not going to have that crowd behind you like they did in Game 1 and 2, so that doesn't mean your game changes at all.
For the most part, Game 1 was a one-goal game as well. There was an empty netter thrown in, but Winnipeg scores, of course, late to grab the lead. Kyle Connor has both game-winning goals in the 2 games so far. Winnipeg scoring late in the third to tie, and then to win the game in game 1, early in the third in game number 2 to win. And then it shifts here, as we've talked about, Jim Montgomery saying, and I think he expects that this game will be another close, tight checking game, and by the score, it will be close as well. We need to find another level when we go home so we can end up by winning by 1 goal. So that's what he's anticipating. So let's discuss a couple of things that were bantied about during the 2.5-hour pregame show with Kelly and friends. And that is, first off, to the penalty kill. Yeah, it doesn't look great in the numbers for Winnipeg at 4 for 7. But the last 3 in game 2 were excellent. So they're 3 for 3 in their last 3. That's the way I would look at it. And it looked like it was getting back to the way it played for most of, the last 2 months? Month and a half of the season, Mitchell?
Yeah, and, especially really since the calendar turned to 2025, the Winnipeg Jets penalty kill has kind of slowly been building and building and building. They were inside the league's top 10 over the course of that stretch. And, it was kind of the quiet secret. Nobody really talked about it too much because the power play was so good for the majority of the season. So they never really, spent much time thinking about the penalty kill. But I think what Winnipeg's been so good at over the course of the last 3 kills that you mentioned was how they played in the neutral zone. They're not giving up that middle ice as easy. Your entries for St. Louis are all kind of a little bit more on the outside, or it's a dump in. And Connor Hellebuck's been able to corral pucks if they are a dump in, or Winnipeg's been able to hold that blue line and disrupt that power play entry. So St. Louis really hasn't been able to get as set up as they have on those earlier power plays where they had so much success early in the series.
5-on-5 scoring has been tough for St. Louis. They've got a few power play goals and 1 5-on-5 goal, and their head coach was not shy in the last couple of days, practice day, and then today, certainly talking about it this morning after the morning skate about his team getting to the Jets' net front. And I'll repeat the quote, our net hunger needs to increase. So that tells me 2 things. One, the players will be directed by the coaching staff to get more to the net. But he's also questioning and challenging the desire of his group to get to those hard areas. And he knows that if they don't get there, that they are going to have a very difficult time in winning this hockey game or winning this series. The Winnipeg Jets, on the other side, know what's coming. So now you need to understand how to defend that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for Winnipeg in their own end, boxing out when it comes to the front of the net starts way before the players even get there, right? And Scott Arniel's kind of touched on that. It's winning your race out of the corner and defending from that position as opposed to trying to get inside position in the limited amount of time that you have at your net front if St. Louis is working the puck around. So obviously that's going to be an area that we're going to keep an eye on. And Winnipeg, I think, at the other end of the ice in the St. Louis zone has to keep their commitment of being able to get there too. Like, I think of a couple of rushes that Mark Scheifele had in Game 2. The first one he scores on. The second one he gets knocked over by Cam Fowler. But that's just Mark Scheifele saying, no, I'm going to the middle of the ice, and you're going to have to do exactly what Cam Fowler did to prevent me from getting there. And I think maybe we've seen a little bit more of that from Winnipeg, and that's what Jim Montgomery, I think, wants to see a little bit more of from his team.
Post-game quote from Scott Arniel after Game 2 on his team in this series. Quote, our compete level is where it needs to be for playoff hockey. And that one instance where Mark Scheifele bulls his way to the middle of the ice and to the net and scores a goal, dropping the shoulder. That tells you where Winnipeg is in terms of their passion in trying to get to the middle of the ice and direct pucks toward Binnington. The other segue on this is Mark Scheifele going into today was second overall in league scoring, in playoff scoring behind Adrian Kempe. And certainly there's been a lot more goals scored in that series with Edmonton for the Los Angeles Kings. But Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor have been a pair that have been hard to handle for the St. Louis Blues in 2 games. If it continues, it will serve the Winnipeg Jets very well.
Yeah, 100%. I think what I like the most about what I've seen from Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor and Alex Iafallo, of course, he's got a role to play on that line as well, is that it hasn't been one-dimensional. It hasn't been rush plays all the time. There's been a lot of work below the goal line, and we've talked all season about how good Mark Scheifele is below the goal line at protecting pucks. We've talked all season about how Kyle Connor can force a turnover just on a backtrack using his speed and his great stick. And Alex Iafallo, he doesn't necessarily just win the first puck battle, he wins the second one too and makes a play off of that. It's a really tough line to go against when they're playing at the top of their game like they are right now. And of course, Winnipeg will need that line to continue going, continue pushing, and continue setting the tone for them on the offensive and defensive side of things if they want to keep their momentum in this series.
I mean, Mark Scheifele swatted a puck away from the goal line the other night as well, and then Winnipeg came up the ice. So Mark has really developed into a 200-foot two-way player, no question about it. He's been the best player for Winnipeg on the ice. I know Kyle Connor has contributed with a couple of goals, but Mark has been the bell cow so far through 120 minutes of hockey. I don't look for that to change. You can just understand the desire that this group has to accomplish much more than where they've been the last couple of years, and I think even more than 17-18, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Okay, let's talk a little bit about certainly the goaltending in this one. I think both goaltenders have been just fine. They've made saves when they've had to. I don't think one needs to be better than the other. I don't know, however, that one has outplayed the other so far in this series.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting just because of the series between these two teams back in 2019. When you look at the game notes and the career numbers for Connor Hellebuck and Jordan Binnington in the postseason against each other's teams, they're both 4-4 at this point. Connor Hellebuck's got a .910 save percentage. Jordan Binnington's got a .900, and I think the difference in actual goals allowed is just 1 or 2. So you can see how they've kind of battled each other to a draw. Those are two incredible goaltenders in this league, and they have to continue to do that. You look at the Jordan Binnington save on Mason Appleton in game number 2 on that backdoor play. Just tremendous by Jordan Binnington. And then Connor Hellebuck at the other end. Scott O'Neill talked about how good Connor Hellebuck was to start the game off, and also at the end of the game making a number of stops. Rebound control was really good. Everything you could possibly want from Connor Hellebuck. So you're right, goaltending has been, I would say, pretty even in this series, but you know the competitive nature of both of those goaltenders. They want to put their mark on this series as well.
So Colin Miller fills in for Dylan DeMello. Where's he playing tonight?
So Colin Miller will play with Logan Stanley. That's a pairing that we have seen throughout the regular season. Neil Pionk's going to bump up with Josh Morrissey. Again, a pairing that we've seen this season, but that's only primarily when Winnipeg is kind of looking for offense. Or if it's a little bit of a different setup on the power play, maybe late in the power play, and they want to get them both out there. So that's what we're looking at. Dylan Sandberg and Luke Schenn will be paired together. Again, a pairing that we have seen this year.
Interesting, because I don't think you want to move too many pieces around, but in this case, it does make sense to vault everybody up out of where they normally are, particularly in Pionk and Luke Schenn.
I did wonder just how with the practices yesterday and how Colin Miller was in that spot next to Josh Morrissey. You heard it was maintenance for Dylan DeMello. I'd imagine that'll kind of be the update after this game on Dylan DeMello as well anyways, because of the secretive nature of the postseason. I did wonder about, okay, but if he does play, is that where they would want him to go? And I think it's a smart move by Scott O'Neill and the coaching staff. These are three pairs that know each other, have played together, and it kind of keeps them slotted in the roles that they have been throughout the majority of the season.
Well, the first 10 minutes are going to be of primary importance for the Winnipeg Jets and perhaps for the St. Louis Blues. You know that St. Louis will be buoyed by the fact that they do have their home crowd behind them, as noisy and loud as it has been to start this tonight. Winnipeg, it has a feel of Nashville to it. If you can get to that first TV timeout and you're holding water, you should be okay. We'll go downstairs to Prashard Owens to sing the anthems tonight. Started with O Canada, followed by the Star Spangled Banner. Prashard?
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous so gallantly streaming, and the rockets collide, the bombs bursting in, and gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Our referees for tonight's game are Kyle Raymond and Trevor Hansen. On the line, Scott Cherry and Libor Shuchanek. Let's have a look at the starting lineups, and they're brought to you by Windeck. Do it once, do it right. Visit windeck.ca to do that. Here's Mitchell.
Thank you, Paul. Jordan Bennington for the St. Louis Blues. 20 of 22 in game number 2. On the blue line, Philip Broberg and Justin Falk. And up front, Alexei Toropchenko, Radek Faksa, and Nathan Walker. For the Winnipeg Jets, it's Connor Hellebuck. Stopped 21 of 22 shots he faced in game number 2. On the blue line, it'll be Dylan Sandberg and Luke Shen. And up front, Brandon Tanev, Adam Lowry, and Mason Appleton.
First period open face-off is brought to you by Cambrian Credit Union. Looking for a mortgage? Get peace of mind and flexibility with the new Best of Both Worlds mortgage. Visit Cambrian.mb.ca. Teams come to center ice to get it started. Jets are flying from our broadcast right to left. They're in white. Blues are in blue. Hellebuck down to my right. Bennington down to my left. And the puck is dropped. And it's showtime from St. Louis, Missouri. Game number 3 is underway. Glad to have you along on the radio home of the Winnipeg Jets. Power 97 and 680 CJOB. How do you folks tuning in on satellite radio and on the NHL app across North America and worldwide? Puck is sent back inside that Winnipeg end. Rolled around back in behind the net. Turning away from the check, there is Sandberg up along the boards, and now for Lowry into where the middle. He'll put it rink wide for Appleton, skips off a stick and goes down inside that Blues end. Broberg back to pick it up into where the middle for Falk, and then he advanced it now for Walker, and Walker will plunger it down inside that Winnipeg end. Rolled around to the near side, but not out. Kept in by Parayko. Buchnevich turned and fired. Back door was Thomas. Couldn't get a stick on it. Back on it. Finish shot. They score. Buchnevich tried the pass to Thomas. Went skipping by to the far side, came back to the near side. Nobody picked up Buchnevich. All alone, he had Hellebuck down and out, went to the top of the net, and early on, it's 1-0 for the Blues.
Now, this will be an interesting one, because I do believe Buchnevich turns his skate here. I do wonder if they are going to challenge this. It doesn't look like they are. Now, Buchnevich does turn his skate, and I did wonder if there was a kicking motion. Oh, that's really close. That's really close.
I think he got his stick on it after he kicked it from his skate to his stick to poke it in the net.
That would be the only way to get away from it, because it was definitely a kicking motion. So,
Buchnevich's first goal of the playoffs, and it's an early lead for St. Louis. Just maybe what they needed. Into where the corner of the near side, back inside that Winnipeg end. Parayko shoots, kicked away by Hellebuck. Rebound into where the corner. Set up along the boards, but not out. Ricochets back in behind that Winnipeg net. Rolled around to the far side, and Winnipeg will expel it out towards center. Here to the near side, Kyle Connor had it bounced off his skate, and then back there to grab it at center ice, and wheeling inside the Winnipeg end, Parayko. He got squeezed off the puck to the near side. Winnipeg will move it up along the boards, but not out. Stolen by Braden Shen. High slot, far side, Parayko slap shot off his stick. Rebound collected, centered back out in front there by Bolduc, and Winnipeg will walk that away, but they can't get it out. Buchnevich far side again. Kept in by Letty. High slot, slap shot. Stop, rebound on the putback by Tucker. And that just went wide. Back toward the line again. Letty will hold it onto the far side. Rolling off the boards again is Robert Thomas. He got tripped up. Penalty coming up to the Jets as they touch the puck.
Yeah, I think it's going to go to Mark Scheifele here, and it just shows the effects of kind of an extended defensive zone shift for the Winnipeg Jets just after a failed breakout. A couple of situations on that entire shift where passes to Kyle Connor just end up in his skates, so he's not really able to work with it. And it ends up staying in the Winnipeg zone. It'll be Luke Schenn going off. I know Mark Scheifele was around that as well, so Schenn got up pretty upset at Pavel Buchnevich as well, so I don't know if he was trying to see if he could get Buchnevich to take the equalizer or not, but Buchnevich didn't take the bait after Schenn took down Robert Thomas.
18:02 remaining in this opening period, 1-0 for St. Louis, and Winnipeg will win the draw. Tamtatsing back in behind his own net. There is Neil Pionk. He'll find a seam and wrist it all the way down the ice. That goal coming 48 seconds into this first period. Time of the goal for JS Furniture. Visit us online at furnitureandmore.ca. And it's set down inside on that Winnipeg end. And we'll get an icing call against the Blues as they weren't quite at center ice when they deposited the puck inside that Winnipeg end. 17:46 remaining in the first period. So Luke Schenn for tripping, 158. The goal, Buchnevich, his first from Snuggerud and Fowler. As mentioned, 48 seconds in, even strength. Face off to the right of Binnington. And the Blues will win the draw and settle it back down, back in behind their own net. Cam Fowler hops toward his own line. He'll drop it. Now it's left there at center ice for Thomas. Thomas will fashion the puck inside the Winnipeg end, roll it around to the near side into where the corner. He'll go after it to the near side. Snuggerud punched it back in behind the net. Came back toward the line on the far side. Fowler will control into where the corner on the far side for Thomas. Scraped off the puck by Pionk. Backhanded it toward the line. Kept alive by Fowler. Near side Bolduc shooting. It's stopped by Hellebuck. Rebound gathered up again by Zach Bolduc. Back toward the line for Fowler. Fowler walks the line, stick handling with the puck, surveys, played it far side, controlled by the Blues. Blues and Robert Thomas back toward the line here for Fowler up top. Fowler back for Thomas, rolls off the board, shooting, and he ripped it wide, short side. Pounded over toward the near side corner, grabbed again, Bolduc back toward the line, Fowler, far side for Thomas, top of the circle on the far side, turned, deflected in front, they score. A power play goal, and Pavel Buchnevich will get his second of the night, second of the series. And the Blues are off and running, hitting all the notes right now. It's 2-0 St. Louis.
Pretty much exactly the start that the St. Louis Blues needed out of themselves, and I'm sure Jim Montgomery's happy with it, but at the same time, he knows there's still a lot of hockey left. But St. Louis has got a 5-on-5 goal and another power play goal. This one just a high tip. Cam Fowler kind of fakes the shot and opens up a couple of lanes to Robert Thomas. And Thomas goes from the top of the left circle, kind of makes his way up toward the blue line before finding Buchnevich high slot.
2 goals for Pavel Buchnevich, who was essentially called out by his coach. And the Blues have a 2-0 lead. Winnipeg staggering to start here. Can't get the puck outside their own zone. Sent back inside the Winnipeg end. After it goes Stanley, stripped to the puck, back out in front, a shot, hit the post. Hellebuck was beaten short side and hit the post. That came off the stick of Radek Faksa. Winnipeg will take a pounding but get the puck back inside of that Blues end. Sundqvist with it onto the far side. Blues will then lift it out towards center ice and bounce it back inside that Winnipeg end. Stanley to the near side now, Nemestikov. Swings down inside that St. Louis end. Will shuttle the puck in. Grabbed by Broberg. Up along the boards on the far side for Schenn. Rink wide for Kyrou. Off his skate. Back for Morrissey. Morrissey will grab that. Up along the boards now. And it's pitched inside that Blues end by Niederreiter. Rolls around to the far side. Absconding with the puck now is Parayko, and he'll get it out towards center ice. Winnipeg and across the line to the near side. Shooting off the rush is Braden Schenn. That was stopped. Came back toward the line. It's held now. Fowler shoots, and he ripped that wide. Rebound collected again into where the corner. Back out in front. Another shot. Kicked away. Rebound on the wraparound. A shot stopped by Hellebuck. on Jake Neighbors. Neighbors will pound Morrissey toward the corner. It's played up along the boards as it's snatched nicely by Nemestikov. Out towards center ice. Winnipeg is back on their heels right now. They'll make a line change. 15-10 remaining in this opening period. 2-0 St. Louis. Across the line, Snuggerud. He'll push it down into where the corner. Luke Shen goes back after it. Rolls around to the far side. Winnipeg will get it out towards center ice. Snuggerud will take that puck and leave it again here for Fowler. He'll lob it inside that Winnipeg end. Sandberg goes after it. Turns into where the corner. Puts it up along the boards and out towards center ice. Appleton will swing inside the zone. Waiting for some mates. Far side now for Shen. Moving in. Shoots. And it's off the goaltender in Binnington and just wide, and then just pushed out towards center ice by St. Louis, and Buchnevich slapped right back in by Stanley. Things will settle as both teams will make a change.
St. Louis leading in shots on goal 7-0 right now, and they're coming at full force.
To the near side, Toropchenko offside. We'll get a stoppage of play. Stanley pushing with Toropchenko. And now the linesmen move in to separate those two. 14:25 remaining in this opening period. 2-0 for St. Louis. Second goal, Buchnevich from Thomas and Fowler. And that goal coming at 3:11. So 2 goals in 3 minutes and 11 seconds to start. Time of that goal for JS Furniture. Visit us online at furnitureandmore.ca. Neutral ice face-off. Winnipeg needs this game to settle down.
Oh, 100%. I think at this point you're kind of just wanting to get into this first time out, and good opportunity for Luke Shen off the rush there for Winnipeg. And if Winnipeg does find a way to come back in this game, remember the scorpion save from Connor Hellebuck at 2-0. We'll keep that in the back pocket.
At center ice, dumped inside that Winnipeg end. After it, Scheifele curls into where the corner. Stops up into where the corner, rolls it onto the far side for Stanley. Up along the boards now for Iafolo. Rink wide to the near side, nobody home. Sent back out towards center ice. Lobbed right back in there by Winnipeg. Parayko onto the far side for Fowler. Tried to thread the needle, broken up at the Jets line. Scheifele tried to put it into where the middle, skipped off a stick, grabbed by Miller, moves in, shoots with a slap shot. Kicked away by Binnington with a right pad. First shot for Winnipeg. Scheifele got knocked off the puck. Kept to the line though by Miller. Slap shot went wide. Grabbed by Scheifele on the rebound. And then flipped by Appleton back toward the line, but Stanley was going one way. The pass went the other. Hellebuck just about gave it away inside his own zone. Bouncing puck, and Winnipeg will abscond with that. And carried out towards center ice off the stick of Tanev to center. And he'll one-hand it in. Rolled around to the near side, trying to pitch down to hold the line, Morrissey. He does, and Letty will ship it around to the far side for Texier, and he'll bump it back out towards center ice. 13:15 remaining in the opening period. 2-0 St. Louis, and your radio home of the Jets. Power 97 and 680 CJOB. Lowry will shoot it in, right to the goaltender in Binnington. He snapped that to the near side. Lowry will pound his man to hold the line. Thomas goes back after it, rolled it around to the far side for Letty. Letty up along the boards on the far side for Snuggerud. Stripped of the puck by David Gustafson. He will turn it north. He marched inside the zone, slipped off a check there at Bolduc. It rolled back in behind the net. Falk will grab that, pull it off the wall, played out toward the line, stopped there by Barron. Barron trucks in along the boards, got squeezed out by Falk. Snuggerud is there. Rink wide pass on the far side. The Blues are back out towards center ice. Snapped in again by Buchnevich. Rolled into where the corner on the near side. Sandberg had some problems with it. Helped along now by Gustafson. Winnipeg will snap it off the boards and all the way down. Icing washed out because Barron is there first against Justin Falk. Barron twisting and turning, waiting for some help. In to help out now is Niederreiter. Niederreiter trying to shovel it back in behind the net. Broken up there by Falk. Falk for Neighbors. Neighbors will scramble out towards center ice to the near side for Kyrou. Crossed over the line, shoots. And he put that wide. Bounced into where the corner, jammed along the boards there by Braden Shen. Back into where the corner on the far side. And then back out in front and back toward the line. Parayko shoots, stopped by Hellebuck. Rebound at the side of the net. Waltzed away nicely by Winnipeg and just thrown desperately into where the corner. To the near side. Parayko will pinch in for Kyrou. Kyrou rolled it back in behind the net. Blues are trying to roll off the boards. Good body check there by Morrissey. Up along the wing, Niederreiter. He'll take a pop there from Neighbors and get it out towards center ice. 11:35 remaining in the opening period. 2-0 St. Louis. They're back inside their own zone with a puck. Break wide pass to the far side. Shuttled in there again from Toropchenko. Back in behind his own net is Stanley. Now to the near side for Nemestikov. He takes a body check. The Blues are throwing their weight around. Every white jersey is getting pounded every time they touch the puck. Nathan Walker back in behind the Jets net. He'll leave it in toward the corner. Winnipeg trying to return the favor. Backs the far side. One hands it back toward the line for Broberg. Broberg moves in, shoots. It's blocked in front. Friendly fire. Toropchenko back after the puck. Scraped off his stick there by Iafallo. He waits for some help. 3 Blues are there. 2 Jets are there. Now Miller came away with a puck to the near side for Stanley. Back for Miller. Hopped over his stick. It's loose in toward the corner. After it again goes Miller. And Miller will flush it out towards center ice. Off a glove. And Winnipeg desperately to the bench for a line change.
Just a relentless forecheck from the St. Louis Blues. Every time a Winnipeg Jet player has that puck, especially in Winnipeg's own end, they have a St. Louis Blue in their face. It's kind of that on it and above it. St. Louis is above Winnipeg. Not a whole lot of speed through the neutral zone or even coming out of their own zone.
Luke Shed across the line, shoots, blocked in front. Ricochets to the near side corner, pulled off the wall there by Sandberg. Put it to the side of the slot. Brian Follow, his shot is blocked. Grabbed by Shifley, put it back toward the line. It's held nicely by Connor on the fill for Sandberg. Flung it toward the net, that went over the net. Bolduc on the far side. Moved it in toward the middle of the ice. Sundqvist can't take that. Bolduc will follow up and curl back inside his own zone. The Blues want to change. 10 minutes have expired in this opening period. Winnipeg down 2-0 on a pair of goals by Pavel Buchnevich. Sauntering in, Buchnevich shooting. And it's gloved down by Hellebuyck. And he'll hang on for a whistle. And then Buchnevich follows up, pushing and shoving. Lowry moves in to break some entanglements up involving one of the Blues players on the far side and Neil Pionk. Buchnevich clearly has gotten the message that he needed to be better in this game. He scored twice and wreaking havoc going toward that Winnipeg Jets net. I don't think there'll be any penalties out of that. 9:51 remaining in the opening period. The score, St. Louis 2, Winnipeg nothing. Back after these, you're listening to Play Now Winnipeg Jets Hockey on the radio home of the Jets, Power 97 and 680 CJOB.
When you bet with Play Now Sports, goals become... Every game will feel like the big game. Bet local with Play Now Sports, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. 18 plus, enjoy responsibly.
Grab your jersey. Grab your generic lager. Impressively standard beer for impressively intense moments. Brewed in Winnipeg by Little Brown Jug. Generic, the most domestic choice.
When the game really counts, you want to watch it on the big screen with great food and cheering fans. That's why Tavern United and Garbanzo Sports Pubs are Winnipeg's favorite destinations for playoff hockey. Want to experience a game in person? Tavern United and Garbanzo Sports Pubs are giving away tickets to the next home game. Plus, enjoy great food and beverage specials. Tavern United and Garbanzo Sports Pubs. Manitoba owned, Manitoba grown, and Manitoba proud. Can-Ed Inns thanks you for supporting local. Proudly a part of your community since 1975. Enjoy responsibly.
Care to sample our delectable filet mignon?
Oh, no, thank you. Actually, I'd love to, but my dentures have another idea.
Don't miss out on life's appetizing offerings because of ill-fitting dentures. Get set right with Shine Dental. Their expert team helps secure loose dentures while improving your oral health, making eating more pleasurable and ensuring you smile confidently. Available at Shine Dental's 1104 Pembina Highway location.
Would you like to try?
Yes, I would.
Book today and find your shine at shinedental.ca.
The official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. This is Play Now Winnipeg Jets Hockey.
2-0 St. Louis, 9:51 remaining in this opening period. Paul Edmonds, Mitchell Clinton with you. We'll do it to the left of Connor Hellebuyck. Winnipeg Jets Hockey is brought to you in part by Buena Fe Clinic, Wallace & Wallace, and the Dairy Farmers of Manitoba.
And I think the key for Winnipeg now, obviously, you've kind of been through that initial wave of the start that you expected from the St. Louis Blues. Now it's a matter of starting to chip away, start to have those offensive zone shifts, spend a little bit less time in your own zone. And we started to see we saw a couple of shifts from the Shifley line in the offensive zone. Start to work a few of those together, kind of shift momentum a little bit. Still plenty of time to go in this hockey game.
Face off to the left of Hellebuyck, as mentioned. Winnipeg wins the draw, but they can't expel it out. Stopped there by Robert Thomas. Pushed against the boards by Lowry. Grabbed by Buchnevich with 2 goals. Buchnevich tried to get it out in front, hit a stick. That came back toward the line. Held there. Fowler shoots. Stopped by Hellebuyck. And he'll cover up and hang on. And swimming in the blue ice is Robert Thomas. Somebody drilled him from behind and knocked him down. Jet fans, get ready for the Winnipeg Whiteout with Jets gear at TrueNorthShop.com. Choose from a huge variety of apparel, headwear, novelties, and more. Need a new jersey for the Whiteout? We've got you covered there too. TrueNorthShop.com.
Seeing a shift in the Winnipeg Jets D pairs in terms of reuniting Sandberg and Peel on this shift. So we'll see kind of what that means for the other two pairs as we go forward here.
Scheifele will take the draw. Braden Shen wave. Jake Neighbors will come in, and Neighbors will win it. Back toward the line again. Snap toward the net. Blocked in front. Came off the stick of Fowler. Fowler has it again. High slot shoots. Stopped in front. And that gets into Hellebuck, and he will hang on for a whistle. So face-offs continue to be a problem for Winnipeg. They've lost 2 in a row since we came out of that broadcast timeout inside their own zone.
Yeah, they had a really good third period back in Winnipeg in Game 2, winning 12 of 18. But it's, like you said, Paul, been a little bit of a struggle here in the first period. It always comes down to those 50-50 battles.
Winnipeg wins that face-off. They reverse to the near side, and Sandberg will walk it out of his own zone to the near side for Kyle Connor. He will drift it ahead now for Iafolo. Sprints inside the zone. Curls back in behind that Blues net. Iafolo back toward the line. Pionk locked and loaded, didn't shoot. Deposits the puck back into where the corner, back toward the line. There, Iafolo will take a pass from Sandberg. Fight for the puck into where the corner. Came up along the boards and squeezed out there by Kyrou. Into where the middle for Braden Shen. Slinks inside the zone. Tried a little toe drag, got around, got knocked down. Fans want a penalty. Not going to get one. Winnipeg will push it ahead. Scheifele wheels out towards center ice. Chip and chase down inside that Blues end. Ridden out there by Folk. Back in front of his own net. Texier, far side Broberg. Up along the boards there and again for Bolduc. And he stuffs it down inside that Winnipeg end. 8:35 remaining in this opening period. Long lead pass for Jared Anderson-Dolan. Skips off his paraphernalia and goes down inside of that Blues end. Icing washed out. Bolduc will poke it with one hand out towards center ice and all the way down. It'll be icing against St. Louis with 8:21 remaining in the first. 2-0 for St. Louis. Shots on goal, 11-3 for the Blues.
And Winnipeg just missed what could have arguably been their best chance of the game. Another good offensive zone shift from the Scheifele line. And Alex Iafolo is kind of circling up high in the zone from the weak side into the middle of the ice. And Kyle Connor sees him. The pass is just out of Iafolo's reach.
Back to the line. Winnipeg wins the draw. Miller will shoot it from the point. That was thrust wide. Rebound grabbed into where the corner here, and Perfetti took a hard jolt into where the corner, stays on his skates. He's trying to dig it out of the corner here. It does come free. Grabbed by Folk. He races out towards center ice to the near side now for Bolduc. Back for Folk, moving in, and he had a shot toward the net. Fanned on that, and then he goes into the corner with one of the Jets. Nemestikov goes after him as well. There's a huge pile up into where the corner. One of the Jets finished their check there with Folk as they were racing and battling each other going back toward the net. Might be Miller that got entangled with Folk. And Miller maybe got the worst of it going into the boards, but Folk took umbrage with it. And then some more pushing and shoving. Everybody, and I think we're going to see a lot more of this as this game goes along.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we are going to see a couple of matching penalties coming out of this. Both Nemestikov and Sundqvist seem to be heading toward the penalty box.
So we'll tell you about that when we get some 4-on-4 action upon our return. Just under 8 minutes remaining in this first period. St. Louis 2, Winnipeg nothing. You are listening to Play Now Winnipeg Jets playoff hockey on the radio home of the Jets. Power 97 at 680 CJOB.
Hey everyone, Adney and Burke here to talk about our great podcast, NHL Unscripted with Burke and Demers.
Jason Demers here. After playing 700 NHL games, it turns out I have an opinion or two. Whoever's saying trade one of them, you don't know anything about hockey. I'm on the bandwagon. I'm rooting for this team. With new guests every week, we will talk about hockey and more.
Can't wait till you watch the movie because it's the biggest award of her career.
He went into the cheetah exhibit. The cheetah took a piece out of him, and he came into the ring the next day.
Tune in to NHL Unscripted with Burke and Demers, the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Doug and Deb's deck was dilapidated, so they demolished their dismal deck and drafted a DIY do-over. Despairingly, the design was a disaster, and the deck was a dud.
Deck dilemma? Find out why we say do it once, do it right with Windeck. Hi, I'm Mel Duick. With our low-maintenance products and award-winning design team, we can turn your outdoor living space into a beautiful deck that's easy to care for and built to last. Get inspired at windeck.ca. Do it once, do it right.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Brett.
At Mid-Canada Fasteners, we try to be your one-stop shop for all of your construction needs.
We have a large inventory of threaded rod, strut and strut fittings, as well as construction-rated ladders and sawhorses, janitorial supplies, rigging supplies, and personal safety equipment.
So come by and see what we have to offer. Shop where the professional tradespeople shop. You're always welcome here at Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools, 1557 King Edward Street.
Hey, this is Josh Morrissey. Paul Edmonds and Mitchell Clinton are bringing it. Winnipeg Jets hockey style on 680 CJOB.
Nemesnikov and Sundqvist both for roughing, so 4-on-4. Face-off just outside the Winnipeg blue line on the near side wall. Just under 8 minutes remaining in this opening period. 2-0 for St. Louis on a pair of goals by Pavel Buchnevich. His first 2 of the series. Winnipeg Jets hockey is brought to you in part by South Beach Casino, Boston Pizza, and Chamber Insurance. Blues win the draw. Send it over to the far side. Can't click with a pass. Grabbed there by Pionk. Into where the middle for Scheifele. Arcs into where the middle and now turns it north. Scheifele right up the middle of the ice. Swings to the far side. He'll leave it now for Pionk, who ducks back in behind that Blues net. Put it back toward the line. Sandberg to the near side for Scheifele. Scheifele rolls off the boards. Dropped it for Sandberg. He will leave it now for Pionk. Turns and fires. Stop. Rebound. And Scheifele on the putback just chipped it wide. Neil Pionk trying to hold the line. Can't. To the near side. Parayko out of his own zone at center. One-on-one. Flings it toward the net. Trying to go wide on Sandberg. And he put it wide. Great chance for Winnipeg. And Mark Scheifele on the putback. He just put it wide. He beat the goaltender in Jordan Binnington, but no luck on that one. Winnipeg will settle it down inside their own zone. Up along the boards, here's Lowry. Springs free. One-on-one and across the line against Falk. Lowry stops up. Lowry back toward the line. Miller shooting! And it's gloved down out of the air by Binnington, and he'll hang on for a whistle.
Couple of good looks there by Winnipeg at 4-on-4, making use of some of the extra open ice, and it's really good puck movement by Winnipeg. Great zone entry by Neil Pionk is kind of what sets up Winnipeg's initial chance. And we talked about getting to the middle of the ice. That's exactly where Mark Scheifele goes, and he's right in the right spot. He chips this puck past Binnington. It crawls by that left post.
We do it to the left of Binnington. Still 4-on-4 for 1 minute right now. 6:59 still to go in this first period. Lowry waved. Appleton will take the draw. Asking Lowry where to push it to. And Appleton wins it to the boards. Exactly where he wanted it. Over to the far side. Fighting forward, Appleton and Lowry. It's discharged back in behind that Blues net. Falk goes after it. Skips away from a check there of Lowry. Falk still with the puck into where the corner got knocked down by Appleton. Put it back in behind the net, though. Blues still have possession. Near side, Braden Shen into where the middle for Broberg. Chugs out towards center ice, crossed over the line. Working wide there on Miller. Miller will stay with him and ride him in along the back wall. Blues goes back after the puck. Broberg came away with it. Back to the line for Parayko. Near side, Kyrou. Kyrou tried to play it down low. Intercepted by Lowry. Lowry has 2 Blues in on him. He threw it around to the near side. Trying to get it out there was Appleton. Couldn't. Appleton pushing and shoving with Parayko. Play continues. Those 2 separate. And Winnipeg, inside their own zone, will be settled down by Josh Morrissey. Far side now again for Miller. Up along the boards for Niederreiter. Curls off the boards in front of his own net. 4-on-4 is about to end here. Niederreiter to center ice. He'll snap it in. Rolls around to the far side. Perfetti will go after it and shovel it back down low. It came back toward the line. Sandberg to the near side. Shoots. Blocked in front by Parayko. He'll shovel it ahead. And now Neighbors at center ice. Neighbors will throw it inside the Winnipeg end. Grabbed again to the near side, up along the boards, and one of the Blues and Sundqvist coming out of that penalty box finished his check on Sandberg. Sandberg came back on Sundqvist on the far side. Came back for the line, and a shot by Tyler Tucker. As he held the line on a wrister is stopped by Hellebuck, and he'll hang on for a whistle. And then more pushing and shoving in front of the Winnipeg Jets net. 5.5 remaining in this first period. The score, St. Louis leading 2-0. And they'll separate the principals out of that as well. And I don't believe there'll be any more penalties upcoming when we return to St. Louis. You're listening to Play Now. Winnipeg Jets playoff hockey on the radio home of the Jets. Power 97, 680 CJOB.
Winnipeg, are you whiteout ready? Choose Hometown Pride. Choose 1919. Brewed by Little Brown Jug, Manitoba's flagship beer since 2016. Here's to building something memorable.
When you bet with Play Now Sports, goals become... Every game will feel like the big game. Bet local with Play Now Sports, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. 18 plus, enjoy responsibly.
For fun and reliability you can count on, your one-stop battery source is Canadian-owned Prairie Battery.
Prairie Battery is family-owned and operated, providing reliable and trusted battery power. When you want true power, come see Prairie Battery and the Prairie Battery team, or visit us at prairiebattery.ca.
When you need batteries for industrial, commercial, auto, recreational, marine, RVs, and more, it can only be prairiebattery.ca. You know what goes well with? Pizza from Santa Lucia Pizza. They've been the leaders in quality since 1971, and now they just keep winning award after award after award. So, sounds like they know a thing or two about making tasty pizza. How about this? When you're getting ready on game day, choose one of Santa Lucia Pizza's many specials or combos and find out why time and time again it's listed as Manitoba's favorite pizza.
Santa Lucia Pizza. It's all about the sauce.
This is Winnipeg Jets hockey on 680 CJOB.
Jet fans, tonight's feature item of the game is official WPG Whiteout 2025 Stanley Cup playoff apparel. Choose from a variety of men's, women's, and kids' styles available at any of our Jets gear locations and online at TrueNorthShop.com. That's official Winnipeg Jets WPG Whiteout apparel. Jets gear, the official team store of the Winnipeg Jets. 2-0 St. Louis. Face off to the left of Hellebuck. 5.5 remaining in this first period. Tyler Tucker, right side point, ripped it over the net, just over the head of Connor Hellebuck, who I think felt that before he even saw it. It rolled back in behind the net. Winnipeg fighting for it there. Luke Shen taking off the puck by Sundqvist. Back toward the line. Controlled Letty. Winds up slap shot. Fired it wide. Short side. Tumbles around into where the corner. Good body check there. Tanev onto the near side on Tucker. Goes to the far side for Appleton. Up along the boards, and he'll flip it safely out towards center ice. 5 minutes remaining. One touch and across the line. Texier into where the corner. Slips a check. Back in behind that Winnipeg net. Alex Texier back toward the line. Off the bench coming in. And a shot ricocheted off a skate. That came off the stick of Radek Faksa. Back the other way, Brandon Tanev to center ice. Hoists it right on top of Bennington. He will get down on two pads, make the save, smother that, and hang on for a whistle.
Tanev not very happy with Toropchenko. He felt Toropchenko kind of almost came very close to sideswiping Brandon Tanev as he came through the neutral zone. Tanev saw him at the very last second and kind of hopped out of the way. And Tanev was going right over to say something and or knock Toropchenko to the ice. The linesman got involved, and Tanev with a few words for the St. Louis bench as he heads off. He's really upset about that near collision in the neutral zone.
Well, you know what? You've been around a long time as well watching this team. They don't need to get 2 goals here in the final 4:41. Get one. Close the gap. If you got 2, it'd be great for sure, but things have settled down. Winnipeg has started to put more time inside that St. Louis end as they are doing right now, and Fowler back in behind his own net. Winnipeg will spread it out. Soft forecheck here. Alex Iafolo, the only one in deep. It's a 1-2-2 for Winnipeg. Fowler's still back in behind his own net. Even his own fans are getting impatient. Up along the boards there for Fowler. Now again for Buchnevich. Out in front. They score. All the way up the ice. Cam Fowler was a part of that. He got the last touch. Buchnevich slipped it just over the blue line. Fowler was in full stride. Goes to the top of the net on Hellebuck. And it's 3-0 St. Louis.
Yeah, and the thing Winnipeg's not going to like about this is the fact that it's a rush chance again. Scott O'Neill talked about how well Winnipeg adjusted in Game 2 to the rush chances and how it was because they were able to beat their checks up the ice. Well, Cam Fowler's the one that initially makes his play behind the St. Louis net, and then he just takes off up ice. He's able to get about half a stride on Alex Iafolo, and that's about all the space that was needed, and Robert Thomas put it right where Fowler needed it.
Off the ensuing face-off, it's backhanded down inside. That's St. Louis end by Perfetti. Rolled around to the near side as Fowler gets his first of the postseason. He had a couple of assists coming in, and now gets a goal and an assist tonight. So 4 points in 3 games for Fowler off the back end. Winnipeg scurrying around into where the corner on the near side. Braden Shen up along the boards now for Kyrou. He tried to bank it out and hit the back of the leg of Nemestikov. Stays inside that Blues end. Broberg will pivot away from a check to the near side for Kyrou. Hops through that neutral ice onto the far side. Bouncing puck. He'll corral it again. Put it back toward the line. Tucker moves in, shoots. And it hit Braden Shen in front. Ricocheted to the near side. Thrust out nicely by Stanley for Niederreiter. And he'll poke it with one hand down inside. That's St. Louis end. Winnipeg off to the bench for a wholesale line change. To the near side again. Nathan Walker beetles down out towards center ice and will knock it inside the Winnipeg end. Blues will get on that puck first and back toward the line. Tucker onto the far side. Leddy shoots. Stopped by Hellebuck. And he'll hang on for a whistle. 3:02 remaining in this opening period. 3-0 for St. Louis.
Well, and if you're St. Louis, this is pretty much ideal because, like we had kind of talked about, the game had kind of settled, and it really seems over the course of this series that when the game is settled, it usually means that Winnipeg has gotten to their game and they're not really allowing a whole lot of speed from St. Louis, and then boom, out of nowhere, one rush opportunity and it's in the back of the net, and that seems to have kind of re-injected those goal legs and energy legs back into St. Louis because they've been attacking Winnipeg, especially ever since the Fowler goal.
Fowler is first from Thomas and Buchnevich. Buchnevich with a 3-point night, 2 goals and assists, 15:51 the time of the goal. Time of the goal for JS Furniture. Visit us online at furnitureandmore.ca. We do it to the right of Hellebuck. Barron does not win the draw. Came back to the line again. Low to high. St. Louis has been for the entire first period. Shot went wide. Winnipeg will get it out in Gustafsson. Sent right back in. On the retrieve goes Sandberg. He avoids a check along that back wall. Flipped it up along the boards to the near side. That was Toropchenko that came hard in on him. Winnipeg out to center ice. Now onto the far side. Tyler Tucker for Toropchenko up along the boards and back inside that Winnipeg end. Snatched by Winnipeg and settled down as they make a change here with 2.5 remaining in this first period. 3-0 Blues.
You're going to hear the fans chanting toward Connor Hellebuck here. Just kind of similar to what Winnipeg was doing to Binnington back in Winnipeg.
Broberg at center ice, slides inside that Winnipeg end, trying to go wide on Lowry. Stopped up, Sundqvist will take the puck and put it back in behind the net. Texier is there. Texier pushed against the boards by Morrissey. Lowry after it again, into where the corner, back toward the line. It's held by Falk. His shot goes wide, drifts into where the corner, snapped off the boards nicely by Tanev. Out towards center ice for Lowry. Lowry, a couple of hard strides, lost the puck of the Blues line. Connor follows up off the bench on a line change to the near side for Stanley. Crossed over the line. He'll shuttle the puck inside the zone. Pulled off the wall there by Scheifele. Couldn't gather it completely to the blade of his stick. It rolls around to the near side and Fowler. Out towards center ice for Thomas. Thomas cruised through that neutral ice. Crossed over the line. Fowler will drop it. Back toward the line. Parayko right down Broadway shooting. And he just put it over the net. Bounced over the far side. Fowler back toward the net. That went wide as well. Tumbled into where the corner. First touch again the Blues. Ripped around the boards there by Thomas. Back toward the line. Held by Fowler. Fowler now for Snuggerud. Into where the corner for Thomas. Thomas emerges out of the corner. Put it back toward the line. Here comes Fowler moving in. Shoots. Kicked away by Hellebuck. Winnipeg under siege once again inside their own zone. Thomas with a puck. He'll play it down low. Stanley's all tied up. Stanley will shepherd the puck into where the corner, the near side. Tried to move it up and did now for Scheifele. 2-on-2. Scheifele down the left wing boards. Back out in front for Connor. And a shot kicked away by Binnington. Off the rush. Great chance for Winnipeg. Connor looking for his third of the series. Settled down into where the corner. Under a minute to go in the opening period. Cole Perfetti taking off the puck. Sent back out towards center ice. Slapped back in by Morrissey. And finishing his check on him, Jake Neighbors. 30 seconds to go. Here's Niederreiter. Moves in, shoots, stop. Rebound, came back to the line. Morrissey surveys. Morrissey into where the corner. Perfetti back toward the line. Intercepted by Neighbors. He absconds with a puck. Trucks out towards center ice. To the near side for Kyrou. Rink wide on the far side for Shen. And Braden Shen couldn't handle that cleanly. 15 seconds to go. Shen into where the corner on the far side. Working against Miller. Miller will ride him out. Shen put it back in behind the net. And a return pass out in front for Kyrou. Kyrou couldn't get it all the way to his stick. Was scraped off it by a couple of Jets. And that'll do it for 20 minutes tonight in the Show Me State.
There's still some pushing and shoving going on to end this period between Nemestikov and Shen. And Jake Neighbors is upset at something as well. So this one's, I think the aggression in this one's far from over.
Well, that was all St. Louis in that period. They scored 3 unanswered goals. They outshoot Winnipeg 15-7. And we'll have a look at the stats summary here before we are joined by Colin Miller after one period for our first period walk-off. So, stats summary will include 3 goals for St. Louis. And they open up the scoring 48 seconds in. Pavel Buchnevich, challenged by his coach before the game. He ends up with 2 goals and 1 assist. He gets a goal 48 seconds in from Snuggerud and Fowler, 1-0 St. Louis. Then they go on the power play. Under 3 minutes later, at 3:11, Pavel Buchnevich, his second of the night, second of the game, second of the series from Thomas and Fowler, 2-0. Then the game settled down and Winnipeg started to get some shots toward Binnington, but a rush up the ice, started by Fowler, ended by Fowler. Cam Fowler is first from Thomas and Buchnevich, 15:51, 3-0 St. Louis. Fowler has a pair of points, actually has a goal and 2 assists tonight. Buchnevich has 2 goals and 1 assist. So a couple of guys that had not produced a lot, and Fowler was -4, by the way, coming in to the game on the plus-minus. He comes through with 3 goals, or at least to help along with 3 goals, as he has a touch on all 3 of those St. Louis tallies in that first period. Winnipeg did not have a power play. St. Louis did. St. Louis 1 for 1 with the man advantage, and St. Louis has scored a power play goal in all 3 games so far in this series. And as mentioned, they outshoot the Jets 15-7 after 1 period of play. Downstairs to Colin Miller. Thanks a lot for taking the time. Your thoughts on that first period, and did you feel like you were under siege for most of it?
Yeah, we got to be a little bit sharper there coming out. Obviously, a lot of energy in the building off the start, so I got to clean it up.
And Colin, you mentioned, wanting to be a little bit more sharp in your own end. You guys take a lot of pride in being able to break out as 5. What's kind of the key to doing that against the forecheck that you're facing right now?
Just getting back support, being a little bit quicker. They're coming hard, but, a couple bumps and, we can move it out.
Did you feel before the 3rd goal that you guys started to settle into your game slightly in that first period?
Yeah, a little bit. I think we got a little bit of momentum, but, going to have to create more here in the second.
All right, thanks a lot for your time. Good luck in the 2nd and 3rd. From Colin Miller downstairs, we appreciate his time, and we'll see what happens. Only 20 minutes have expired. Winnipeg has come back before, but certainly St. Louis looking to make sure that they do not let their foot off the gas in this one. We'll see what the next 20 minutes presents. That will be the key, certainly, for Winnipeg to come back in this one, or maybe not if St. Louis exacts exactly what they want to do and did in that first 20 minutes. First intermission report is coming up next with Kelly Moore and John Shannon. The score after 1 from St. Louis, Missouri. The St. Louis Blues 3, the Winnipeg Jets 0. You're listening to Play Now. Winnipeg Jets playoff hockey on the radio home of the Jets. Power 97 and 680 CJOB.
Lowry moving in, shoot.
Jets fans, it's your chance to win big all night long with our playoff 50-50 raffle. Get your tickets now for a shot at multiple cash prizes during the game, ranging from $1,000 to $25,000. Plus, one lucky winner will take home 50% of the total sales at the end of the series. Don't miss out. Text JETS to 20450 for your chance to win. That's JETS to 20450.
Boston Pizza is Canada's go-to place for playoffs. So this year, we're doing more than just hoping a Canadian team wins it all. We're manifesting it. We're planning the parade. We even got a bus. And we've got the sports bar dialed in, with ice-cold draft beer and an elite playoff menu. Like the guy in the movie said, kind of.
If we plan it, we will win.
So when it's game day, post up early at BP and cheer for the Holy Grail to come home.
In today's business world, hiring and retaining staff is a challenge, but Chambers Plan Employee Benefits gives you an edge. A solid benefits plan can be the deciding factor for job seekers. 30,000 Canadian businesses agree Chambers plan gives you the flexibility to offer comprehensive benefits with affordable, stable premiums. See how Chambers plan can benefit your business at buychambers.ca. That's BUY chambers.ca.
This is Winnipeg Jets hockey on 680 CJOB.
Well, we knew the St. Louis Blues were going to come out like a wounded animal, and that is exactly how they played in that opening period. All St. Louis, pretty much from start to finish, as Paul and Mitchell mentioned in their conversation with Colin Miller, there was about a 6 second span coming out of that first time out into the second time out where Winnipeg appeared to have steadied things, and then just a parting of the Red Seas for Cam Fowler, who, along with Pavel Buchnevich, had an outstanding period of hockey. As we welcome you to the first intermission report, I'm Kelly Moore, along with our hockey expert and insider, John Shannon. Jets fans, it's your chance to win big all night long with our playoff 50-50 raffle. Multiple cash prizes during the game, up to $25,000 plus. One lucky winner takes home 50% of the total sales at the end of the series. Text Jets to 20450 for your chance to win. John, I would have to go back without the damage of the 3 goals, but I would say that might have been the period where the Jets were thoroughly dominated since late November in Minnesota. Now, Connor Hellebuck saved their bacon that night. They went on to win the game, but there have been very few games this year where Winnipeg has been absolutely manhandled like they were in the opening 20 minutes of this one.
Well, your description of the wounded animal was absolutely correct, Kelly. I mean, Jim Montgomery had his guys at a fever pitch. There's no doubt about that from that perspective. They were moving the puck quickly. They were physical. They were going to the net. They were protecting Jordan Binnington. They were picking on Mark Scheifele away from the play, a few cross checks here or there. So they probably went in to the dressing room thinking, if we couldn't have drawn up a better plan and executed a better plan to have a 3-0 lead after 1 against the Jets.
Yeah, and a rough first period it was for that pairing of Pionk and Morrissey. They get victimized on that first goal by Pavel Buchnevich, who's allowed to get all alone in front. And I'll tell you, that what a wise decision it was by Buchnevich to make sure that he got a piece of the puck before it got over the goal line, because that goal would have been disallowed had he not.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, you know, it's funny. There's an instinct to some hockey players, and goal scorers have that instinct. And he knew that. And his hand-eye was absolutely remarkable on that play. And your point about Pionk and Morrissey, I noticed the second half of the period, there was a lot more Schenn and Morrissey than there was Pionk and Morrissey, Kelly.
Yeah, they had to split that up after the third goal because they got their wires crossed. Now, Alex Iafallo's trying to come back to pick up Cam Fowler, but that should not be the winger's responsibility on that play. I'm curious to see what the conversation might be with Dean Schnauther amongst themselves when they look back on the video on that and on what went wrong, because that was a train wreck.
It was, but it was almost like at that point of the period, you got the sense, with as aggressive as the Blues were, that the Jets were almost in shock. You know, they were all, what they were doing was not what the Jets have done all the time. Now, they did, in my mind, they did seem to stabilize things even at 3-0. I mean, there was a couple of opportunities, including the Connor one in the last minute of play that was a great save by Jordan Binnington. Yeah. But all the momentum, you know, basically for the first 17 minutes of the period was St. Louis.
Well, it was 2-0, 3 minutes and 11 seconds into the game. It could have easily been 4-0 before the game was even 5 minutes old. Faxa hits the post, and Hellebuck has to make a spectacular save off Braden Schenn on the wraparound. I mean, this one is not over. The Jets certainly could find their way back into it if they can do a much better job protecting the guts of the ice. But St. Louis could have ended it rather early, and they'll probably think that they're in pretty good shape. But I agree with Paula Mitchell. I think they saw enough of Winnipeg in the second and third periods of the first two games, and even during the regular season, to know that the job's not done yet.
No, you're right. The key thing for me now is that I do think that there'll be enough focus on Scheifele and Connor by the Blues that somebody else has to pick up the slack. We have to. There has to be a little more offensive prowess from a Niederreiter, who had a nice shot on goal, from a Perfetti. Somebody's going to have to create something in the offensive zone other than the big line in order to get this team back in the game.
Well, we thought the Blues had a busy night physically in period one of game one. They eventually adjusted the hit total to 29 for that one. 37 St. Louis hits in that first period. And one that probably didn't count, Toropchenko almost caught Brandon Tanev in the railway tracks, and I don't know that that would have been a legal check. So the Blues are going to want to keep going physically, but I don't. They have to temper their enthusiasm a little bit from that aspect. You don't want to put Winnipeg on the power play, and by the same token, Tanev, there was a play earlier that he was quite upset about as well. So the Blues have certainly been able to get the Jets off their game from that physicality.
The first 10 minutes of the second period, Kelly, I think that to me is where we're going to see the personality of the Jets come through again. And if they're able to do that, score one, perhaps just one, to feel that they're that much closer to the 3-1 gap than 3-0, that would put this hockey team in good stead, because I don't think a 2-goal lead in the third period is insurmountable for Winnipeg.
No, and now the hit total is up to 38. Jake Neighbors and Pavel Buchnevich with 5 and 4, respectively. When you think Buchnevich also had 3 shots on goal, 2 goals and an assist. Maybe Jim Montgomery should just question him on his ability to get shots off before every game in this series.
Well, and that was when you think that. I'm just looking at it. They had, by my calculation, they had 37 shot attempts in that first period. That's a heck of a lot more than they had in either of the other 2 games in a single period. So from that perspective, there's a lot more focus. And truly, we talked about it before the game, Kelly. Players say they don't hear the crowd. They don't get emotionally involved with the. Boy, oh boy, what a difference the home crowd makes. Yeah. I mean, it just, and we know it makes a difference for the Jets, and it truly made a difference tonight for the St. Louis Blues so far. Just to put that 37 shot attempt into context, throughout the entire game Saturday night, the Blues had 35 shot attempts, 2 more in the first period tonight than they had in the entirety of game one. John Shannon will come back for the second intermission. Christian O'Mell standing by with a scoreboard update. 3-0 Blues. All St. Louis in that first period here on Power 97 and 680 CJOB.
Growing up on a dairy farm taught me to take good care of the land so that the land can take good care of us. So on my farm, we're always looking for new and improved ways to do things. Because we don't just farm for today, we also farm for tomorrow. You see, dairy farming is all about preserving the land, water, and air for future generations. And that's why everything we do is all from a good place.
There's nothing quite like the playoffs. And there's no better way to enjoy the games in the comfort of your own home.
Top shelf, baby!
JS Furniture wants you to break away with these amazing deals. Save up to 40% off 4 model recliners and select reclining sofas, so you can watch every hit, shot, and celly. JS Furniture, serving you for over 50 years. 1725 Ellis Avenue in Winnipeg, and now open in their new location in Portage la Prairie. Visit furnitureandmore.ca.
Grab your jersey. Grab your generic lager. Impressively standard beer for impressively intense moments. Brewed in Winnipeg by Little Brown Jug. Generic, the most domestic choice.
When you bet with Play Now Sports, goals become... Every game will feel like the big game. Bet local with Play Now Sports, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. 18 plus, enjoy responsibly.
Bet on Manitoba. Enjoy responsibly. This is Play Now Winnipeg Jets Hockey on 680 CJOB.
37-13, the shot attempts for St. Louis, and the hit totals keep getting adjusted. But as we speak to you, it's now at 39-23 for St. Louis, so 62 hits in that first period. We'll see what's in store for the middle frame. Let's check out the scoreboard now with the host of the CJOB Sports Show, Christian O'Mell.
And I'll just get on record. I'm not sure how much I trust those totals, but anyway, we have one other game going on right now in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Wild have a 3-1 lead on the Vegas Golden Knights with about 7.5 to go in the second period. So the Wild looking to take a 2-1 series lead there. Still a lot of game to play, but looking good there. The Toronto Maple Leafs, a second straight overtime win. Simone Benoit getting the OT winner, just 119 into overtime. A disheartening moment for the Sens. Now a 3-0 series lead for the Leafs. And the Panthers have a 2-0 series lead after a 2-0 win over the Lightning. Knicks now up 2-1 on the Pistons after a 2-point win. Grizzlies up big on the Thunder right now near the half in game 3. And the Clippers with a 35-28 lead over the Nuggets after game 3 there. That series tied at 1.
All right, thanks very much, Kristen. Jets will try to work their way back into this thing, trailing 3-0 going into the second period next on Power 97 and 680 CJOB.
Hey everyone, Adney and Verk here to talk about our great podcast, NHL Unscripted with Verk and Demers.
Jason Demers here. After playing 700 NHL games, it turns out I have an opinion or two. Whoever's saying trade one of them, you don't know anything about hockey. I'm on the bandwagon. I'm rooting for this team. With new guests every week, we will talk about hockey and more.
Can't wait till you watch the movie because it's the biggest award of her career.
He went into the cheetah exhibit. The cheetah took a piece out of him, and he came into the ring the next day.
Tune in to NHL Unscripted with Verk and Demers, the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Got to have it.
Hi, Don Carson here from Crevco Lifestyles. Our spring into savings sale is on now until May 4th. Save 20% on chemicals, cartridges, and solar blankets. 15% on parts, accessories, and above-ground pool liners. Plus 10% on all pool equipment. Don't buy anywhere else until you've checked out our unbelievable deals on hot tubs, swim spas, and in-ground pools. Reno and pool installation dates are still available. So check out Crevco Lifestyles with 2 locations, 700 Berry Street and at 1000 St. Anne's Road or at Crevco.com. Your gotta have it stores.
When the game really counts, you want to watch it on the big screen with great food and cheering fans. That's why Tavern United and Garbanzo Sports Pubs are Winnipeg's favorite destinations for playoff hockey. Want to experience a game in person? Tavern United and Garbanzo Sports Pubs are giving away tickets to the next home game. Plus, enjoy great food and beverage specials. Tavern United and Garbanzo Sports Pubs. Manitoba owned, Manitoba grown, and Manitoba proud. Can Ed Inns thanks you for supporting local. Proudly a part of your community since 1975. Enjoy responsibly.
Bet on Manitoba. Enjoy responsibly. This is Play Now.
Paul Edmonds, Mitchell Clinton with you. We welcome you back to the broadcast booth here in St. Louis, Missouri at Enterprise Center, which is for Namath Diamonds. For your diamond engagement ring, see Namath Diamonds, a family tradition of excellence in Southdale Square. 3-0 St. Louis after 1. Winnipeg, an uphill battle here and a long change for both teams. Jets are flying from our broadcast left to right. Winnipeg, it was reminiscent of the first period of game 1. They were a little slow. St. Louis battered them from pillar to post. Depending on where you get your information from, the sheet that was handed to us, 30 hits for St. Louis in that first period. It was reported by Kelly on the website that there was more. Either way, it was significantly different for St. Louis when it came to hits on the Jets versus the other way around. Underway, and Scheifele snakes his way down inside of that St. Louis end early on in this second period. Little stutter move. Scheifele back toward the line. Held by Pionk. Shoots. Stop. Rebound. Scrambling to it is Connor. Rolls off the board. Shoots. And that's blocked in front nicely by Fowler with 3 points already. He will move it ahead onto the far side. Here come the Blues across the line. Pass didn't click, and weaving out of his own zone. Shifley, headman pass now again for Iafolo. Kicked it from his skate to his stick. Pushed it down inside that Blues end. Thomas to the near side. Lost the puck. Shifley tried to get it back out in front. Broken up. And Buchnevich will arc his way out towards center ice. Looked like he's at the end of his shift with 3 points as well in that first period. Turned it over. Back the other way. Connor for Shifley back in behind the net. Shifley rolls there and rolls off a check. Shifley back out in front for Connor. Connor will shoot it around to the near side. Luke Schenn ambles to it. He'll pull it off the wall, put it up top now for Sandberg to the near side for Fetty. Out in front, coming off the bench, taking that pass. Nemestikov, his shot was blocked. Nemestikov to the loose puck. Angled off the puck to the near side. Buchnevich will shovel it with a backhand out towards center ice. Grabbed again by Sandberg across the line. In toward that slot area, broken up, back the other way. Off the bench, Nathan Walker scurries inside the Winnipeg end, pass to himself in the slot, and it was swatted off his stick by Luke Schenn. Schenn goes after the puck into toward the corner. Walker had his helmet removed. He came back for the line, held by Falk, pushed it back in behind the net. Stopped there nicely by Sandberg. Schenn is after the puck, twisting and turning, put it back in behind his own goal for his D partner Sandberg. Up along the wing, Perfetti, off his stick, it falls back inside of that Blues end. It'll be an icing call against the Jets. Second period opening face-off is for Cambrian Credit Union. Looking for a mortgage? Get peace of mind and flexibility with the new Best of Both Worlds mortgage. Visit cambrian.mb.ca.
A pretty good start to the period for the Winnipeg Jets. You get that offensive zone shift with all the good habits that you like to see. A couple of puck retrievals, a couple of one battles. Winnipeg doesn't get anything to the net, but those are the little habits that you need to build on to start clawing your way back into this one.
Face off to the right of Hellebuck. Nemestikov against Schenn. Winnipeg will win it on that winger win by Perfetti. Outlet at far side, trying to slide off a check. Is Niederreiter. He dumped it right on top of Bennington. Bennington gave it away to Niederreiter, north the corner, backhand toward the net. Glove down by Bennington, and he'll hang on for a whistle. Justin Falk and Adam Lowry say something to each other. The linesman's moved in, and he's trying to be all shucks. And hey, guys, just calm down with a smile on his face.
Well, from what we know of Adam Lowry, as tough as he is, he's equally witty. So I'm sure some of the chirps back and forth between him and Justin Falk probably put a little bit of a grin on the linesman's face in that situation. They weren't throwing punches back and forth. They were engaged, certainly, but they weren't throwing. And the linesman probably just came over and caught the tail end of it.
Winnipeg wins the draw back toward the line. Miller to the near side for Appleton. Appleton turns and fires from the hash marks. That one wide. Drifts over to the far side. Lowry first one after it. Battled it back toward the net. That one wide. Grabbed again by Appleton. Back toward the line. Slap shot by Miller. Blocked there by Toropchenko. And he felt that. He is stung, hobbling back out towards center ice. Winnipeg regroups and they'll shoot it right back in. Appleton goes after, put it back out in front, redeflected by Tanev, and he just put that wide. And then it's alley-ooped by St. Louis out towards center ice. Settled down by Appleton to the near side. Tanev back across the line. Rumbling into toward the corner. Lowry back out in front to the backdoor attempt by Appleton. Couldn't get a stick on it. Toropchenko onto the far side. Slides off a check there of Tanev. Rolls it to the near side for Tyler Tucker. Tucker and across that Jets line. Dropped it for Walker. Softly played back in behind that Winnipeg net. Grabbed there by Stanley. He'll move it with a backhand up along the boards for Barron. Barron almost overskated the puck, stops up, got a little bit of help from Gustafsson. He'll charge it with a backhand down inside that Blues end. Falk goes after it, moved it up along the boards. Pulled off the wall by Texier. Played it into where the middle. It's sent there to Bolduc. He slings it down inside that Winnipeg end. After it goes, Morrissey ties up Bolduc along the back wall. Came back toward the line, pinching in. Broberg is shot, bounced off a body, came back toward the line again for Falk to the near side. Broberg will just paddle it back into where the corner. Rolls around to the far side. Winnipeg trying to win that battle there. Sundqvist is there. Morrissey is there. Morrissey slapped it with one hand to his D partner in Pionk. He takes a pounding to the near side from Bolduc. Got it out towards center ice, but it's gloved ahead to the advantage of the Blues, and we'll get a stoppage of play. 16:23 remaining in this second period. 3-0 St. Louis.
And, of course, Winnipeg is a team that, like we've been saying, with the players they have out in Nikolai Ehlers, Gabriel Velarde, and Dylan DeMello tonight, it's a team that prides itself on its depth. And, obviously Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele have put up the lion's share of the points in this series for Winnipeg. But, you look at game one, how important depth was to the Winnipeg Jets and every line getting involved. You love to see them start to stack some shifts and get some offensive confidence going.
Back in behind their own net. St. Louis will control the puck. Long lead pass for Buchnevich off his stick. Slides down inside the Winnipeg end. He just slipped a check from Colin Miller. Buchnevich threw him a look. Winnipeg will send it all the way down. Icing washed out. Parayko swings into where the corner. Quickly in on him. Couple of Jets there. One has fallen down in Iafallo. Scheifele is in there trying to scrape it off the boards, and he does. He rolled it around to the far side for Pionk. Pionk will backhand it up along the boards and get it back again. He'll try to kick it into where the corner. Robert Thomas will take that for Snuggerud. Onto the far side again for Thomas. Couple of hard strides to center, and he will gently send it down inside that Winnipeg end. Miller to the near side at center ice. He'll shoot it right back in. Tumbles around the top of the dashboard. Finally drops down. Kicked into where the corner. Scheifele is there. Working against Falk. In to help out is Perfetti. Perfetti will try to pull it off the wall. Trying to get again some separation from Braden Shen. Pushing his way back. Scheifele emerges. Came back toward the line. D to D. Near side. Luke Shen shooting. Gloved down by Jordan Binnington, and he'll hang on for a whistle.
And that's Broberg on the box out of Cole Perfetti. Perfetti just not quite able to get into the eyes of Jordan Binnington, who's able to see this Shen point shot the whole way. But again, it's the Scheifele line winning a battle down low, and we saw this a little bit kind of in between line changes where Alex Iafallo, his average shift like just a touch under what Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connors are. So sometimes you end up with Cole Perfetti with them. It led to the game winner in game number 2. He's out there once again with Connor and Scheifele for a brief bit on that shift, and they go to work in the offensive zone together.
Mesnikov will take the draw against Faxa. Faxa wins it. Push back in behind the net for the Blues. They rotate to the far side. And Falk out towards center ice. Off the stick there of Faxa. He pushed it inside the zone. Somebody was in ahead of the play for St. Louis. Offside against the Blues. Winnipeg Jets hockey brought to you in part by Mid-Canada Fasteners, Santa Lucia Pizza, and Mr. Furnace.
And talking to Nino Niederreiter and Vlad Nemestikov this morning, they kind of both said, yeah, our line's been pretty good, but we just need to get ourselves to the net more and start cashing in on some opportunities. You think back to game 1 and 2, Vlad Nemestikov at times seemed to have the puck on a string and had a couple of great opportunities. He wants to capitalize, as does Nino Niederreiter.
Winnipeg will shoot it inside the zone, rolled around to the near side. Niederreiter goes after it. There's Perfetti as well, pushing and shoving with a couple of Blues back toward the line, but it's intercepted by Texier. Texier chip and chase down inside the Winnipeg end. Good job by Stanley to help out his D partner. Swings in front of Texier to grab that puck, threw it out toward the line, stays inside the zone. Swatted up along the boards again. Winnipeg will then golf chop it off the stick of Perfetti and out safely towards center ice. Broberg will amble back in front of his own net. Swing to the near side, carve his way out of the corner, move it ahead for Oscar Sundqvist. He will then send it down inside that Winnipeg end and get tripped up by Luke Shen. And there'll be a penalty coming up to the Winnipeg Jets. And St. Louis will go on the power play for the second time tonight, leading 3-0 already with one power play goal.
And Luke Shen not happy with the call. It was one of those situations where the puck got dumped behind him, and just as he's going to kind of make the turn to go get it, his stick is still out in front of him. And Sundqvist, who's trying to make a jumping move kind of around him, his left skate comes down and lands kind of on the stick of Luke Shen, and tripping's called. So obviously, no need to say, important penalty kill here for Winnipeg.
Face off to the left of Hellebuck. Winnipeg wins the draw. And rolling out of his own zone to the near side is Pionk. Moved it into where the middle for Iafallo. Crossed over the line to the near side. Penalty coming up for St. Louis. As the puck goes off a body into the meshing to the near side, there'll be a hooking call against the Blues. So for the second time tonight, we'll have some extended 4-on-4 action. Robert Thomas for hooking.
Yeah, and usually the set play for Winnipeg after a defensive zone win on the penalty kill is your defenseman swings around the back of the net and you get that early clear, but obviously trailing 3-0, Neil Pionk figured, you know what, let's try and get this thing up ice, and Winnipeg had some bodies, and it's as they're coming through the neutral zone on the entry that Robert Thomas sticks the stick into the waist of Alex Iafallo, and that's where the hooking call comes.
So 4-on-4 for the next minute and 48, barring any other infractions. And then Winnipeg will go on to the power play. Fans didn't like the call. They saw the replay. Fowler to the near side and then nudged out towards center ice. Grabbed again by Snuggerud. Now for Kyrou onto the far side. Kyrou will throw it in toward the corner. Stopped there by Neil Pionk. Pionk will swivel away from some forechecking of Kyrou. Played to the far side now for Morrissey. Back for Pionk. He'll drop it at his own line for Connor. This has a bit of a Jets power play feel to it, to me. To the near side, scurrying after it. Pionk inside the zone for Kyle Connor. Up top for Morrissey. And it bounced over the stick of Morrissey, but it stays inside the zone. Morrissey in the slot for Pionk. Pionk tried to pull it back and shoot. He fanned on that. It's snatched by Braden Shen. He moved it ahead to the near side for Kyrou. Denton in, shoots. It's blocked nicely. Rebound back on in front. Buchnevich shooting! And it's blocked away by Hellebuck. Buchnevich looking for the hat trick tonight. Winnipeg stalling up the ice, coming up and swinging back inside their own zone is Miller. Far side for Morrissey. Still 4-on-4 for 45 seconds. Miller tried to move it ahead. He gave it away. Came back into where the slot popped off Perfetti, and back inside that Winnipeg Jets corner on the far side. Nemestikov takes a body check from behind from Buchnevich. He will pull the puck away now to the far side for Miller. Miller strides after it. He'll go rink wide for Vladislav Nemestikov. Nemestikov will hop out towards center ice. He didn't like the read, curl back, and then stuff the puck back inside his own zone. And I think Nemestikov is hurting slightly there, Mitchell, off that body check from Buchnevich back inside his own zone.
He doesn't look thrilled with himself. He's not heading down the tunnel, though, but he does seem to be wincing on the bench.
Winnipeg on the far side. Perfetti squirrels in, shoots, kicked away by Bennington. Rebound into where the corner on the near side. Sent around. Winnipeg will go back after it again. Winnipeg's now on the power play here. Lowry trying to get the puck. Broberg will skate it out toward center ice and one-handed inside that Winnipeg end. After it goes Sandberg, rolled it around to the near side. And now the penalty is over. So Winnipeg's first power play is over. It was an abridged variety, of course. Slung toward the net off the rush by Connor, stopped by Bennington. And that power play for Prairie Battery. Winnipeg at center ice trying to take the puck. Iafolo does. Rink wide to the near side for Neil Pionk. He steps up to center ice and drives it back inside the Blues end. But we're going to get a stoppage of play. Offside is the call against the Jets. Your one-stop battery source is Winnipeg-born and Canadian-owned PrairieBattery.ca. So Winnipeg 0 for 1 with a man advantage. 11:39 remaining in this second period. Timeout on the ice. We'll do the same on your radio. The score, St. Louis 3, Winnipeg nothing here in game number 3. You're listening to Play Now. Winnipeg Jets playoff hockey on the radio home of the Jets. Power 97 and 680 CJOB.
Winnipeg, are you whiteout ready? Choose Hometown Pride. Choose 1919. Brewed by Little Brown Jug, Manitoba's flagship beer since 2016. Here's to building something memorable.
When you bet with Play Now Sports, goals become... Every game will feel like the big game. Bet local with Play Now Sports, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. 18 plus, enjoy responsibly.
Hi, Blake Legault here from Wilfs Eli Ford. Wilfs has been your independent, locally owned Ford dealership for 44 years. That's 44 years of loyal customers. And thank you for your dedication. We have amazing loyalty offers on Edge and F-150s. But it doesn't stop there. We also have 0% financing on most lines. Do you want to know why customers keep coming back to Wilfs Eli Ford? Come in for a visit. Once you experience our pressure-free buying experience, I'm sure you'll keep coming back too. See WilfsEliFord.ca for details.
You know what goes well with pizza from Santa Lucia Pizza. They've been the leaders in quality since 1971, and now they just keep winning award after award after award. So, sounds like they know a thing or two about making tasty pizza. How about this? When you're getting ready on game day, choose one of Santa Lucia Pizza's many specials or combos and find out why time and time again it's listed as Manitoba's favorite pizza.
Santa Lucia Pizza. It's all about the sauce.
Hey, this is Logan Stanley, and you're listening to Winnipeg Jets Hockey with Paul Edmonds and Mitchell Clinton on 680 CJOB.
Winnipeg Jets Hockey is brought to you in part by St. Andrews Parts and Power, Wilfs Eli Ford, and Windeck. 3-0 St. Louis. 2 goals by Pavel Buchnevich, 1 by Fowler. Buchnevich and Fowler each have 3-point nights. Puck is thrust down inside that Winnipeg end off a neutralized faceoff. After it goes Stanley. Rimmed around the boards to the far side. Stopped by Tucker. Played along the boards. Rolling off the boards. Texas flings it toward the net. Stopped by Hellebuck. Rebound in the high slot. Bouncing puck. Shoveled ahead nicely by Gustafsson. He just about had the stick chopped out of his hands. It's dumped back inside the zone by Bolduc. Grabbed there by Stanley. Rolled up along the boards for Jared Anderson-Dolan. Anderson-Dolan's pass off a skate. Grabbed again. Slipped toward the net by Sundqvist, but that was partially blocked. Winnipeg having a hard time making passes out of their own zone. Shen will push Sundqvist against the boards along the back wall. Winnipeg came away with a puck. Dumped out towards center ice. Bouncing puck. Trying to stay on side is Gustafsson. He does. He'll send it in. Winnipeg will retreat to the bench for a line change. Quick up pass for Neighbors. He just redirects it from center ice inside that Winnipeg end. Grabbed again here by Gustafsson. Pushed it ahead for Appleton off his stick and ricochets down inside that Blues end. Broberg sways back in behind his own net. He got bodied off the puck, and then Appleton took it. He got hooked down to the ice. There'll be a penalty coming up for hooking against the Blues, and the Jets will have a full 2-minute power play this time with which to work for the second time tonight.
Number 6, 2-minute minor for hooking.
And the key here for Appleton is he doesn't give up on the play, right? The pass comes to him on the zone entry, and it just kind of hits his stick and goes ahead. And he would have loved full possession, but instead he kind of gives chase. The battle continues below the goal line. Adam Lowry comes in on support and throws a good check on Broberg, and the puck comes loose, and Appleton's the one that grabs onto it, and he takes off, and Broberg right at that moment throws the stick around Appleton. So a little bit of an opening here for Winnipeg on the power play.
Yeah, the Jets are on another Prairie Battery power play. Your one-stop source is Winnipeg-born and Canadian-owned PrairieBattery.ca. As mentioned, this is the first full power play for Winnipeg. They are 0 for 1 off the face-off. Shot by Morrissey. Stopped in front. Rebound. Ejected all the way down the ice by the Blues. So Winnipeg 0 for 1 with a man advantage. They're on their second. Back to collect at 200 feet. Back inside his own zone. Morrissey, and the long drop now for Kyle Connor. He will slink his way out towards center ice. Drop it now for Scheifele, far side. Iafolo carried inside the zone. Put it back toward the line for Morrissey into where the corner of the far side for Scheifele. Scheifele rolls off the board. Scheifele will put it back down low for Connor. Backdoor out in front. Perfetti is shot. What a stop by Binnington. A diving catch by Binnington. Diving face first to that shot from Cole Perfetti backdoor. And Perfetti looking to the heavens, wondering how he didn't score. Also thinking that maybe Binnington's glove was slightly behind the goal line.
Yeah, Cole Perfetti pointed right away that he thinks it went in. It's a heck of an effort by Binnington and a well-crafted play by the Winnipeg Jets. Not too often you see Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele on the same side of the ice on the power play, but it kind of throws the St. Louis PK for a loop, and they kind of forget about Cole Perfetti on the other side. It's a perfect seam pass right onto the tape of Cole Perfetti, and he one-times it to the net. Binnington sprawling across, gets the glove on it.
Here we go.
It's under review to determine if the puck completely crossed the goal line.
So it's under review. They're going to have a look. And we'll see.
And it is close. Like, obviously, it's the challenge, of course, anytime there's a glove involved, especially one from the goaltender, is seeing the puck. And so, like, just based on the overhead angle there, it's hard to see that there's visual evidence of that puck crossing the goal line.
Inconclusive.
Yeah, that's where I think it's going to end up being. You could surmise that it's in the glove. Like, see, that one from the angle of behind Perfetti looks more like it goes in than the overhead. So it's going to be quite the challenge, because obviously on an angle view, it's more difficult. They just showed a view from the crossbar cam that looks a little bit more conclusive that it's in, but the glove, again, is covering the goal line, so you're kind of basing it off of the post.
I'll tell you what, if Winnipeg could get this break to go their way, it would be a huge bump in this game for the Jets. Trailing 3-0, just under 10 minutes remaining in the second period, 9:55 to be precise. So we're halfway through this game. St. Louis doing all the scoring in the first. Winnipeg's been much more consistent and true to their game in this second period, but they need one to go, and maybe this is the one that they need to get.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a comeback can start from really anything, and you just need that one benefit. They're showing that overhead view under the crossbar in the building, and you could kind of hear the crowd kind of go, oh, that doesn't look so good.
They don't like that angle. They're booing the angle.
They're wondering why it's even up there. As if the officials are looking at the scoreboard instead of their own tablets. And this is going to be an interesting call because you can't fully see the goal line. You're basing it on the position of the post and the glove. I tell you what, there's 2 of the 3 views we've seen makes me lean goal. The first one we saw makes me lean inconclusive.
Well, while we have a moment, Jet fans, follow the team on the road by attending the Whiteout Watch Party, powered by Scotia Perks for Game 4 of the series this Sunday at noon. Take in the energy and excitement of the game day experience at Canada Life Centre as the game is broadcast on the scoreboard screen. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.ca and learn more at WinnipegJets.com/watch party. If you didn't have another engagement, would you be there?
Of course. I enjoy. You know what? You go back to the Olympics, and I remember it was a different name on the building at the time, but I remember, when Sidney Crosby scores that golden goal, I was at a watch party. I was in the building. Great memories there. So obviously, if you have the opportunity to go to the watch parties at Canada Life Centre, I don't see why you wouldn't.
So you get your tickets, WinnipegJets.com/watch party, and through Ticketmaster. And it'll be at Canada Life Centre at noon on Sunday for Scotia Perks.
It's kind of interesting. On the seam pass that gets through to Perfetti,
it's a goal.
Alex Iafallo is kind of shrugging because Tucker's got a hold of his stick, and if Tucker's not holding onto his stick, he might have been able to prevent that seam pass from going in. But
what kind of pressure do you think these officials are under right now? They're hearing it from the crowd.
Yeah.
The players are impatient.
Yeah, this isn't a fun place to be because you're trying to make the right decision. And it doesn't get any easier with passing moments, and you're trying to make sure it's the right call. You know it's an important call in the game.
Here we go.
After video review, the call on the ice stands. It's no goal.
Yeah, I don't know about that. My guess is because they couldn't see the goal line in relation to the puck. But, man, that look with the puck inside the post in the glove was pretty conclusive in my opinion.
Well, we'll see how the Jets react to that. And right off the faceoff, it's sent all the way down the ice by Parayko. So Winnipeg still with 1:20 left on this power play. Scrambling back inside his own zone, Morrissey. So the score remains the same. 3-0 for St. Louis. Far side. Iafallo kicked it into where the corner. Scheifele's there as well. Back to where the line here for Perfetti. Perfetti walks down to where the hash marks. Played it down low for Scheifele. Scheifele back in behind the net. Far side for Connor. Connor up top for Morrissey. Shooting. Fired it wide. Rebound and a backhand attempt by Perfetti. He missed on that. Grabbed it again, Perfetti. Over to the far side, but off the stick of Thomas. And it's discarded back out towards center ice. 9:10 remaining, second period, 3-0 St. Louis. 35 seconds to go on the power play for the Jets. Nudged in for Perfetti inside the zone. Back toward the line, nobody home, and it goes all the way down the ice. And Winnipeg has to go 200 feet to collect it.
Perfetti trying to go back up the strong side wall like we see sometimes Winnipeg do on an entry. Just too many bodies, and he had to put a little bit too much zip on it.
Appleton skips inside the zone, drives it around to the far side for Niederreiter. Niederreiter gave it away, and it's paddled around by St. Louis. And defenseman Tyler Tucker in all the way down it goes. 5 seconds remaining in the penalty to Broberg. He's going to step out of the penalty box right now. Winnipeg 0 for 2 with the man advantage. Here they come off the rush. Niederreiter shot toward the net. Ricocheted off a stick to the near side. Nemestikov back toward the line. Far side, Sandberg winds up, shoots. He fired it wide. And it bounced off the back wall and kicks all the way back down inside that Winnipeg end. 8:10 remaining in this second period. 3-0 St. Louis.
And of course, Winnipeg's had a power play for the last 2 minutes, but they have been able to suppress some of the pressure from the St. Louis Blues. They've only given up a couple of shots this period.
Binnington gave it away to Nemestikov along that back wall, trying to get it out in front. His pass ticked off the side of the net to the near side corner. After it goes Braden Shen, pushed against the boards there by Anderson Dolan. It's reversed to the far side for the Blues. Absconded with again by Kyrou to the near side for Shen, and Braden Shen will knock it inside the Winnipeg end. Luke Shen with it onto the far side for Lowry. Chopped it toward the net. Stopped by Binnington. Shoveled with a backhand by the goaltender into the corner. Racing out of his own zone. Texier. Lead pass on the far side. Kyrou for Texier. He got hooked up on the backtrack by Anderson Dolan. And he couldn't get a shot away. It's touched by the Jets. Penalty coming up to Jared Anderson Dolan. Then some pushing and shoving in the corner on the far side. Lowry, Stanley is there. And a host of St. Louis Blues. 7:25 remaining in this second period. 3-0 for St. Louis, and they're going to go on the power play for the third time tonight.
I think Lowry was trying to draw another penalty to try to even it up, but looks unsuccessful.
There's a minor penalty for hooking.
Hooking to Jared Anderson Dolan. And that comes at 12:35 of this second period. Time out on the ice. We'll do the same on your radio. St. Louis with a man advantage upon our return. They lead at 3-0. You're listening to Play Now Winnipeg Jets playoff hockey on the radio home of the Jets. Power 97 at 680 CJOB.
Jets fans, playoff hockey is back, and there's nothing bigger than the Winnipeg Whiteout. You can be here for every unforgettable history-making moment by becoming a season ticket member today. Experience the Whiteout inside Canada Life Center, live and in person. Get access to playoff packages and pre-sales for round 2 and beyond by visiting winnipegjets.com/memberships today. That's winnipegjets.com/memberships.
Got pain? Meet the Manitoba Physiotherapy Association, a professional organization fostering excellence in practice, education, and research. With over 500 licensed physiotherapists and physiotherapy students in the province, the goal of MPA is to advance the profession of physiotherapy and to improve the health of Manitobans. So when you visit your physiotherapist, you can rest assured that you'll have received the highest standard of care. And if you don't already have a physiotherapist, you can learn more and find one at mbphysio.org.
Experience the excitement at South Beach Casino and Resort as we celebrate 20 fantastic years, and we have you to thank. We appreciate your support over the last 2 decades, so come celebrate our 20th anniversary with us. We're kicking things off April 21st with a chance to win a brand new Jeep Sahara. Winner announced May 31st. 20 years, now that's worth celebrating at South Beach Casino and Resort. Details at southbeachcasino.ca.
You are locked and loaded to Winnipeg Jets hockey on 680 CJOB.
They're giving a standing ovation to Tony La Russa, the longtime Major League Baseball manager who managed the Cardinals for many years and a World Championship. And now things have settled down as we welcome you back. The Blues are on the power play. For now, the third time, they're 1 for 2 tonight. They lead at 3-0. They will scurry inside that Winnipeg end, playing around to the corner to the near side, up along the boards. Lowry can't get it out. It stays inside on the near side, along the boards. Thomas tried to get it into where the slot off a stick, and it ricochets out towards center ice. Winnipeg will put some pressure on Fowler, who arcs back inside his own zone. Moved it ahead for Buchnevich. He sidestepped a check, got it inside the Winnipeg end to the near side for Thomas. Back for Bolduc. Walked into a slap shot, broke the stick. It goes fluttering into where the corner. Settled down again by the Blues as they retain possession. Bolduc now has a new stick. He tried to pass it as he got a pass himself. Broken up, and Sandberg will dump at the distance. 6.5 remaining in this second period. 3-0 for St. Louis, and they're on the power play still for 1 minute and 2 seconds.
Good start to the PK for Winnipeg in terms of not really giving St. Louis much of a shooting lane toward Hellebuck.
Schenn will shoot it in. Rims around to the near side. Winnipeg will chop it up along the boards. Pulled off the wall by Neighbors. High slot. Falk moves in. Shoot. Stop. Rebound. Over the far side. And taking a swing at it there was Braden Schenn, and he missed it. Into where the corner. His Neighbors back toward the line again for Falk. Near side for Kyrou. Kyrou up top again for Falk. Hops toward the far side. Played it for Braden Schenn. Back toward the line for Falk. Near side for Kyrou. Bumper spot now. Turning and firing was Neighbors. That was stopped by Hellebuck in that slot area. Grabbed again and fashioned to his stick by Kyle Connor. He darts out towards center ice. Crossed over the line. Moves in. Shooting! And he just ripped it wide off the rush shorthanded. 15 seconds to go in the power play. Good chance for Winnipeg. Slapped inside the zone by Neighbors. Came right back out by Miller. And then sent back inside that Blues end. Falk will slowly saunter back inside his own zone. Now he hits Nathan Walker with some speed. He will rumble inside that Winnipeg end. Roll back in behind the net. Penalty is now over. Winnipeg is back to full strength. Jared Anderson Dolan out of the penalty box. 1 for 3 with a man advantage of the Blues. Winnipeg will toss the puck inside that St. Louis end. Parayko lead pass for Toropchenko. Slightly bumped off the puck and then hammered it along the boards, but he rolled off that check of Tanev as well. He will beetle back in behind the net. Fax is there as well. Pushing and shoving going on. Miller came away with the puck. Moved it ahead for Lowry. He takes a body check from Walker, but got the puck out. Winnipeg will dump it inside that Blues end. Parayko goes after it. Lowry and on him. In tow as well. There is Appleton. Fished it off the wall back toward the line to the near side. Pionk winds up. Slap shot. He put that wide. Rolls around to the far side. Back up top. Slap shot again. This time by Sandberg off a stick. And it ricochets wide as well to the near side. Winnipeg with 3 shots off sticks and just wide as well. Nothing toward the net on Binnington. Winnipeg will then dump it right back in. 4:20 remaining in this second period. 3-0 for the Blues. Winnipeg will grab the puck into where the corner. Shifley. Back door on the far side. Sandberg moves in, shoots. And it's stopped. Rebound back toward the near side wall. Kept alive again. Sandberg far side for Connor. Back on in front. Redirected by Shifley. Net front. He just put it wide. Chopped off the boards with a golf chop. Out towards center ice by the Blues. And out towards center ice. Winnipeg will try to go after that. They overskated the puck. Came inside the Winnipeg end. Nathan Walker with it. Backheads it into where the corner. Texie goes after it. Slides back in behind the net. Left it for Thomas. Back toward the line here for Fowler. Shoots through traffic. Kicked away with the right pad there of Hellebuck. Rebound. Grabbed again by Thomas. First touch there for him. Back to the near side for Snuggerud. Snuggerud will stops and starts into where the corner moves. Slings it toward the net from a bad angle. Stopped by Hellebuck again. Rebound to the near side. Trying to grab that is Thomas. Back toward the line for Fowler. He makes a move. High slot to the near side. Snuggerud shoots. And he fired it wide short side. Kept alive by Leddy on the far side. Good shift here for the Blues. Sent back toward the line off a stick of one of the Jets. And it's discarded back out towards center ice. Good play for Winnipeg to get it out and alleviate some pressure with this long change. 3 minutes and 5 seconds remaining in this second period. Again, Winnipeg back out towards center ice. Blues will send it back in. Blues will have to go back and retreat for Winnipeg to clear the zone. And now down along the boards is Niederreiter. He'll put it back in behind the net. That is grabbed by Braden Schenn. He's taken off the puck. Grabbed by Perfetti. Left it there. Shot came in. Stopped. Rebound. Perfetti swatted at it. And he put it wide. He and Niederreiter combined with a couple of chances. Perfetti after it hard into where the corner again. Braden Schenn, who turned it over, grabbed it again. Now for Neighbors on the far side. For Snuggerud. For Kyrou. Moving in. Shoots. And it's off the shoulder of Hellebuck. Bounce to the near side. Kyrou with it again. Stops and starts into where the corner. Kyrou shoots. That went wide. Kept in by Leddy on the far side. Teams are trading chances. Blues controlling inside that Winnipeg end. High slot. Buchnevich near side. Broberg. Backdoor for Kyrou. Couldn't get a stick on it. He was all tied up by one of the Jets. Out towards center ice. Perfetti. Perfetti tried to get it into where the middle. Turned it over. Back the other way. Lead pass. Here comes Pavel Buchnevich. And he tried to go back from the far side for Sundqvist. Broken up by the Jets. Bolduc into where the corner on the far side. Back toward the line for Leddy. To the near side. Broberg. Walks into a slap shot. Stopped by Hellebuck. Rebound. Pushed back to where the net by Sundqvist. Stopped again by Hellebuck. Morrissey is spent. He's lost his stick. He's slow to get up. into where the corner. One of the Jets is down, and that is Miller. There's going to be a penalty for slashing coming up to the Blues as they touch the puck. And Sundqvist goes back after Miller, trying to maybe goad him into taking the other two and getting offsetting penalties. And a big pileup will happen into where the corner on the near side with 1:41 remaining in this second period.
How many chances has Winnipeg had in this game that have just gone wide? They've had so many great looks that just haven't been able to get to the net and just blistered them wide. It's been Winnipeg's generating, just nothing's getting to the net.
Slashing call and Winnipeg on the power play when we come back. 1:41 remaining in the second. The score, St. Louis 3, Winnipeg nothing. You're listening to Play Now, Winnipeg Jets Hockey Playoff Edition on the radio home of the Jets. Power 97 and 680 CJOB.
When your truck breaks down, do you take it to just any shop?
Hey, you. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. Thanks for hanging out with us. This is TSI Mike, and now that we've got your attention, we're bringing you every single game of the NBA and NHL playoffs while supporting SickKids Hospital in Toronto through our Playoff Pulse campaign. Let's grow our global community. Hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell, and join the action.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Joe Bowen here, voice of the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Playoff Pulse on Toronto Sports Insider is all about playoff thrills and making a difference, with 100% of Leaf playoff stream revenue going directly to SickKids for their life-saving treatments and research. We're aiming for 100,000 insiders to boost our impact. So subscribe now and be a part of this incredible movement. Holy Mackinac! Let's show SickKids Hospital we're here for them. Join us today.
Hey you, yeah you, Easton Cowan, Leafs prospect here. I'm loving these Playoff Pulse live hangouts. Subscribe and turn on the bell to catch every game. Keep the chat buzzing and let's cheer for SickKids together. See you in the chat.
Of the Winnipeg Jets, this is Play Now Winnipeg Jets Hockey.
Winnipeg Jets Hockey is brought to you in part by Shine Dental, Mr. Reuter, and Cambrian Credit Union. 3-0 St. Louis. Jets on the power play for the third time tonight. They're 0 for 2. One was very short. They win the draw back toward the line. Morrissey winds up, slap shot, stop, rebound. Poke just wide, maybe off of Binnington by Iafallo, and the puck is exhausted all the way down the ice by St. Louis, and Winnipeg back 200 feet to collect it. Jets are on the Prairie Battery power play. Your one-stop battery source is Winnipeg-born and Canadian-owned. PrairieBattery.ca. Up the ice, Shifley, far side for Iafallo. Carries it inside the zone, cuts toward the net, backhand stop as he got in tight and then grabbed again by St. Louis and flushed out towards center ice.
Rush chance for Winnipeg there. We've seen Alex Iafallo kind of lower that shoulder and drive to the front of the net, and a couple of good looks for him already on this power play. The first coming on a rebound.
Shifley out of the far side for Iafallo, crossed over the line for Morrissey. Chipped it off the boards, intercepted by Parayko, and Colton Parayko will send it all the way down the ice again. Stopped by Hellebuck, he'll wait for a line change. 45 seconds to go in the period to the near side. Cole Perfetti squirrels his way inside that St. Louis end. Puts on the brakes, put it back toward the line. Pionk walks the line, fakes the shot, put it far side, got it back again. Pionk to the near side for Niederreiter. Rolls off the boards, top of the circle. Niederreiter down low, Perfetti. Perfetti tried to get it back out in front. It was knocked off his stick, grabbed by Walker, and dumped the distance again. 20 seconds to go in the period.
Yeah, Perfetti just kind of trying to drive right in front of the net on his strong side and had it knocked away from him.
On to the far side, Niederreiter swings inside the zone. Nemestikov is there. Put it back in behind the net. A couple of Blues go after it into where the corner, put it up along the boards, and it's too hard to handle for Neil Pionk, and it popped back out towards center ice, and that'll do it for 40. Here in St. Louis tonight.
Well, in a much better 20 minutes from the Winnipeg Jets, but you got to think it's also a frustrating 20 minutes because I still think that puck was in. But nonetheless, the official ruling is there isn't conclusive evidence. So they did a good job of kind of putting that behind them and generating another couple of offensive zone looks. And Just like I said, a lot of really good looks are going just wide. You're having to be so precise to beat Jordan Binnington. They've had a couple of rebounds, just crawled by posts. They're that close. They defended well in that period as well. They had the majority of momentum.
Well, let's have a look at the stats summary through 40 minutes of play now and get you caught up on what has gone on. Much better period, as Mitchell mentioned, for the Winnipeg Jets in the second. Truthfully, they should have a goal. It should be 3-1, even after video review. And I would like to see or hear the explanation or read it from the league. I'm sure we'll get one. The Jets will demand one for sure. But nonetheless, through 40 minutes, it's all St. Louis. They lead at 3-0, and all three of their goals coming in the first period. Pavel Buchnevich scores to open up the scoring 48 seconds in from Snuggerud and Fowler, 1-0. Then at 3:11, Buchnevich, his second of the series, second of the night from Thomas and Fowler on the power play this time, made it 2-0. And then even strength, Fowler, his first from Thomas and Buchnevich at 15:51, caps the scoring so far in this hockey game, and definitely in that first period, 3-0 St. Louis. Buchnevich, 2 goals, 1 assist. Fowler, 1 goal, 2 assists so far. No scoring in the second period, so it's still 3-0 for the Blues over the Jets now after 40 minutes. Power play opportunity, St. Louis 1 for 3 with the man advantage. The Jets are 0 for 2. They're on their third. They'll have 19 seconds with which to work for a power play to carry over from the second to the third on a penalty to Zach Bolduc for slashing. And Winnipeg did outshoot St. Louis in that second period, 7-6. But the 2-period total still belongs to the Blues, 21-14 over the Jets. Second intermission report is coming up next with Kelly Moore and John Shannon. The score after 2, St. Louis 3, Winnipeg 0. You're listening to Play Now, Winnipeg Jets playoff hockey on the radio home of the Jets, Power 97 and 680 CJOB.
Looking for an outdoor lighting solution for your deck and landscape? Look no further than Windeck.
Hi, I'm Mel Duick. Windeck is a premier dealer for Enlight outdoor lighting, a lighting system that can be installed by anyone who can plug in a toaster. Control your lights with Bluetooth phone application and get lit with Enlight. Enjoy your backyard investment well into the night. Don't let the sun end your fun. For more information on Enlight, come visit our showroom, 937 Redonda Street, and see what fixtures fit you. Windeck. Do it once. Do it right.
Boston Pizza is Canada's go-to place for playoffs. So this year, we're doing more than just hoping a Canadian team wins it all. We're manifesting it. We're planning the parade. We even got a bus. And we've got the sports bar dialed in, with ice-cold draft beer and an elite playoff menu. Like the guy in the movie said, kind of.
If we plan it, we will win.
So when it's game day, post up early at BP and cheer for the Holy Grail to come home.
He shoots, he scores!
Jacuzzi Manitoba wants you to win back your purchase in the Jacuzzi Win Your Wellness Contest. Until April 30th, purchase any new jacuzzi hot tub, swim spa, cold plunge tub, infrared sauna, or massage chair, and if the boys in white are league champs after all 4 rounds of the playoffs, you will win back the purchase price of your wellness product. Contest limited to the first 50 jacuzzi wellness products purchased in April. For full Jacuzzi Win Your Wellness Contest rules, visit Jacuzzi Manitoba in Winnipeg or Brandon.
This is Winnipeg Jets hockey on 680 CJOB.
3-0 is the score after 40 minutes of play for the St. Louis Blues, who led 3-0 at the end of one period. So progress there for the Winnipeg Jets, who would probably have a very good argument that this score should read 3-1. We'll talk about that in a moment with John Shannon. I'm Kelly Moore, and Jets fans, there is nothing bigger than the Winnipeg whiteout. You can be here for every unforgettable moment by becoming a season ticket member today. Get access to playoff packages and pre-sales for round 2 and beyond. Visit winnipegjets.com/memberships. Well, I can only imagine, Mr. Shannon, what the response and reaction would have been by Winnipeg Jets fans, and rightfully, I would suggest, after a lengthy video review, came up with a conclusion that the Cole Perfetti shot gloved by Jordan Binnington did not cross the goal line, because there was one replay that I know inconclusive is probably going to be the official explanation, but that looked pretty conclusive to me.
It did to me too, but there must be some defining moment in the situation room in consultation with the two referees in St. Louis that they said, you know what, we're just not sure. And the moment you say that, then that famous word that you used, inconclusive, Kelly, comes into play. I did think that the NHL camera, which is the one on the back crossbar, showed the puck in the net. And then there was one slow-mo from the game angle side that showed the glove. It appeared to me to be over the line too. So to me, it was a good goal. But you know what? There has to be a mitigating reason, and perhaps the NHL will come out with an explanation.
Yeah, whenever there is a glove hand involved, there's an obstructed view as well. So I know in my past experience, it has generally been a clean look at the puck completely crossing the goal line as opposed to through the webbing of a glove. So, we'll cut the NHL some slack there, but boy, what a huge call, because the 3-1, you get a goal, and all of a sudden I think you have the St. Louis Blues back on their heels after they appeared to have spent a lot in building up that 3-0 lead in the first period.
Quite frankly, I think the Jets had the Blues on their heels for the second half of the period anyway.
Agreed.
There was a lot more offensive dominance, although I would say that, and I'd love to hear the coaches talk about this, I still don't think there's enough traffic in front of Binnington. He's seen everything. And there's lots of shots from the outside, particularly in the first half of the period, but there seemed to be more traffic occur as the period went on. Even 5-on-5 as opposed to on the power play, but it certainly has to be frustrating at this point for the Jets, because the Blues have done a very good job of keeping people away from the front of the net.
Yeah, they have for sure, and no doubt the words of their coaching staff, I'm sure, are going to be repeated in between periods 2 and 3. It's one thing to battle to get to the front of the net at the other end of the ice, but they still want them boxing out those Jets forwards. I loved what Iafallo did late in the period, put the shoulder down and go hard to the net. Even if the Jets can't win this hockey game, John, I think if they keep pressing, they at least let the St. Louis Blues know that a 3-0 lead is not going to chase us away either.
No, you're right. From that perspective, it's the old cliche of win the third period. But I'm not even prepared to give up on the game at this point. I think that, the Jets score early in the third, and with the firepower they have, and the Blues get into a little bit too much of a defensive stance, then the Jets still have the possibility of turning this game around. Remember, it's not a case of having to get 4. They only have to get 3, and then it's an even deal before we go to overtime.
Right, and the line leading the charge right now, I would say, would be that Nemesnikov line. Perfetti makes that great steal out of the left corner boards and gets it in front to Nino Niederreiter, and were it not for a great right pad save by Jordan Binnington off of Nino Niederreiter, there could have been another goal on the board. I mean, that's why you pay these netminders, and that's why Jordan Binnington's won a Stanley Cup. He's been in that moment before, but I've liked the way that the Perfetti, Nemesnikov, Niederreiter line is going to pick things up in that second period.
Well, again, and what we talked about in the first, it had to be more than Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele.
Yeah,
and that really, your point is duly noted because of that. And even there's going to be opportunities. You do wonder how much Scott Arniel will shorten the bench in the third period, particularly with the extra day off between games. Will he basically get rid of the Barron, Anderson, Dolan, and Gustafsson line and just roll 3 until they they feel that the game's out of sorts, or will they have turned the game around by that point?
Yeah, Gustafson, who only played 428 in game number 2, just 455 so far in this game, 11 shifts for Morgan Barron, and just 9 for Jared Anderson-Dolan. You might see him. Nemesnikov looked like he was a little bit of discomfort, so you could possibly float Barron in on a second line if you wanted to give him a few shifts, or they don't want to take penalties, but Barron obviously would kill off some penalties for them. But I agree with you, John. I don't think we'll see a whole lot of the third defense pair or the fourth line unless we get deep into the game and the score is the same as it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key. Again, with the extended days off, and even as Sean mentioned in the pregame show, they're not even going to skate tomorrow. So it's purely a rest day tomorrow for the hockey club. They can spend all the energy they need and want in this third period to try to get back in the game.
When they do get back to work on the Friday, or I guess the Saturday rather, that's the one thing that you can certainly take a look at. Now, it would look better on the power play had that shot by Perfetti counted, but the Jets now 1 for 9 on the power play in the series, while St. Louis 4 for 10. That is a gap that the Jets are going to certainly have to work at. I like some of the looks, but they're not getting into the zone cleanly to get set up.
No, and well, when 2/5 of your number one power play, the number one power play in the National Hockey League, when everybody was healthy, when 2/5 of it are out of the lineup, you are going to have issues, and that's just a reality of not having Velarde and Ehlers to play in those special situations.
So the third period, John, do the Jets have to take some chances now and let Connor Hellebuck know, okay, you're going to have to come up with a big stop or two here?
Well, quite frankly, the Jets have nothing to lose by taking chances. They still control the series. The fact that the game is Sunday is another positive. You know, this is one where we have raved all season long. We raved after game 1 of what this team does, its resilience, its play the game the way they normally do. I don't think that changes really, Kelly. And I think that if Scott Arniel shortens the bench and starts to give opportunities to the first two lines a little bit more, all the better for this hockey club, because as I said, I'm not waving the white flag yet.
No. That's the one thing this year in the National Hockey League. Look at Edmonton and Los Angeles the other day. All right, John, we'll talk to you either in the third intermission or the post game. Christian O'Mell standing by with a scoreboard update next as St. Louis maintains a 3-0 lead through 40 minutes on Power 97 and 680 CJOB.
When you bet with Play Now Sports, goals become... Every game will feel like the big game. Bet local with Play Now Sports, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. 18 plus, enjoy responsibly.
Grab your jersey. Grab your generic lager. Impressively standard beer for impressively intense moments. Brewed in Winnipeg by Little Brown Jug. Generic, the most domestic choice.
I'm Bailey Shikanik, Prairie Claims Manager for Ag Direct Hail Insurance. Our team of professional and polite hail adjusters have one goal: to thoroughly inspect your crop damage and get you a payment that accurately represents your loss. It's that simple, and why shouldn't it be? Having settled thousands of claims to the satisfaction of our customers, I am proud to lead the Ag Direct Hail Claims team. Visit agdirecthail.com or call us toll-free. We appreciate your business.
Fighting crime and crime one drain at a time. There's a reason they call us Mr., as in Mr. Rooter. Every spring, our fair city is under attack by clogged drains and backed up sewers. When melting snow and heavy rains threaten to cause sewage and wastewater to back up into your home, only Mr. Rooter stands between your basement and total plumbing chaos. Call them today to clean your sewers and drains.
Born to be a hero, trained to be a plumber. That's Mr. Rooter.
The official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. This is Play Now Winnipeg Jets Hockey.
3-0, the St. Louis Blues out in front. All 3 goals scored in the first period. Well, let's check out what's going on in the rest of night number 6 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Here's the host of the CJOB Sports Show, Christian O'Mell.
Well, the Minnesota Wild trying to take a 2-1 series lead at home against the Vegas Golden Knights. They have a 4-2 lead with 8 minutes to go in the third period. Vegas just scored to make it 4-2, trying to get back in that game. Meantime, earlier tonight, the Florida Panthers went into Tampa and beat them 2-0. So Florida now has a 2-0 series lead. And the Toronto Maple Leafs, a second straight overtime win. Simon Benoit gets the OT winner, and it's Toronto getting a 3-2 win. And they now have a 3-0 series lead in the NBA playoffs tonight. The Knicks get a narrow win over the Pistons to take a 2-1 lead. The Grizzlies and Clippers both up fairly sizably in their games tonight as well.
All right, thanks very much, Kristen. The Winnipeg Jets came from behind after 2 periods in game number 1. That was a 1-goal deficit. Here they have 3 to make up. We'll see how they go about their business next on Power 97 and 680 CJOB.
Jets fans, playoff hockey is back, and there's nothing bigger than the Winnipeg Whiteout. You can be here for every unforgettable history-making moment by becoming a season ticket member today. Experience the Whiteout inside Canada Life Center, live and in person. Get access to playoff packages and pre-sales for round 2 and beyond by visiting winnipegjets.com/memberships today. That's winnipegjets.com/memberships.
Manitobans know our weather can be all over the place. Today, it might be cold and shitty, but tomorrow, you might feel like an egg cooking on the sidewalk. Get ahead of the weather changes with reliable heating and air conditioning. Hi, I'm Kelsey Waters. Call us today and get a pre-season checkup of your air conditioner before the hot summer days arrive. Plus, get a $50 gift card just by referring a friend to Reliable Heating. We are family strong, reliable strong, and Winnipeg strong. For details, visit reliableheatair.ca.
Brett Vickery here with Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools. Spring is just around the corner, and so are those spring projects. We have specials on miter saws, table saws, track saws, and more to help you get the job done. Pick up a steel earth auger to drill those post holes, and the new Quick Drive Project Pro collated screw driving tool to put it all together. Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools, proudly Canadian.
You're always welcome here at Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools, 1557 King Edward Street.
All rights to this broadcast are reserved, and any rebroadcast, recording, retransmission, or other use of this broadcast without the express written consent of the Winnipeg Jets Hockey Club is expressly prohibited.
Hey, this is Mark Scheifele. Paul Edmonds and Mitchell Clinton are bringing it Winnipeg Jets hockey style on 680 CJOB.
19 seconds remaining in a power play for Winnipeg to start this third period, 3-0 St. Louis. We welcome you back to the broadcast booth, which is for Namath Diamonds. For your diamond engagement ring, see Namath Diamonds, a family tradition of excellence in Southdale Square. Winnipeg flying from our broadcast right to left. They'll send out Morrissey, Connor, Scheifele, Pionk, and Iafallo. Countering for the Blues, Thomas, Buchnevich, Parayko, and Fowler. Scheifele and Thomas at center ice to get the third underway. Zach Bolduc is still in the penalty box, and St. Louis will win the draw, and they will quickly fashion the puck down inside that Winnipeg end.
And obviously for Winnipeg down 3, you want to kind of get that first one if you can as quickly as you can and give yourself more time to rally back here in the third.
Now Connor arcs back inside his own zone. Whipped it ahead quickly for Iafallo. Stops up across the line and takes a body check on the near side from Buchnevich, but got it in deep. And Winnipeg tried to get it back out in front. They did to Kyle Connor. He never got a shot away, but he digs to win the battle. Tried to put it back out in front. Intercepted by Parayko. Intended for Scheifele. And Parayko will backhand shovel it all the way down the ice it goes.
Scheifele was ready on that back door. We've seen them and Connor and Scheifele execute that play numerous times throughout the year.
Winnipeg will stuff it down inside that Blues end. Binnington will put the pass right on somebody's tape at center ice, and Snuggerud will send it down inside that Winnipeg end. Bolduc's out of the penalty box. Winnipeg 0 for 3 with a man advantage here tonight. And they are chanting and bugging the Winnipeg Jets goaltender Sent around back in by the net. Luke Shen whipped it around to the far side, off the stick of Niederreiter. It falls back inside that Blues end. Hamling there is Falk to the near side. He'll outlet it now again for Snuggerud. Into where the middle for Neighbors. Neighbors cuts away across the line, shoots as he ripped it over the net. Off the rush, Winnipeg will settle it down into where the corner. Miller rolled it around to the near side for Stanley. Chipped up along the boards. Cole Perfetti kicked it from his skate to his stick. Goes rink wide to the far side for Miller. He will get to center ice and dump it in. And again, a body check finished in on him, this time by Jake Neighbors. Out towards center ice. Bolduc now for Tucker. Tucker will thrust it inside the Winnipeg end. Caught by Hellebuck. And the goaltender will rim that around to the near side. Dangerously close to falling outside the playing surface. But it got off the glass, and Winnipeg and Tanev across the line. Tanev into where the corner, rolled it around to the far side. Leddy in behind his own net. Rolled it around to the far side and rimmed it up along the boards. Stopped there by Stanley. Tries to keep it in. Appleton on the far side. Pulled it off the wall. Shoots it toward the net that went wide. Grabbed again here by Morrissey. Nice little move. Shifts to his left. Deposits the puck in behind the net. Tanev went after it. Overskated it. Grabbed by Leddy. Forced off a check there. Got it out towards center ice. Morrissey's there again now for Tanev. Tanev will backhand it in. Take a body check in front of the Blues bench. Blues will settle it down. Winnipeg will make some changes. 17 and a half remaining in this third period. 3-0 St. Louis. Tucker inside his own zone. Moved it ahead for Toropchenko. Now swinging away from the check. He will hand it off for Walker. Walker and along with one of the defensemen gave it away at center ice. Pionk was falling down and dumped it back inside that Blues end. Tucker with it again. Flopped it out towards center ice and off a stick. Nathan Walker goes after it. He dives and one-hands it inside the Winnipeg end. Intercepted, though, by Scheifele. Winnipeg will grab that. Scheifele takes a hard body check on the far side. A couple of Jets roll over each other. Scheifele bumped into Iafallo there as well. Now again to the near side. Parayko moved it ahead for Robert Thomas. He will twist away from the check there of Sandberg, work his way into where the corner. Puck came back toward the line, walking into a slap shot. Parayko and his stick snapped in half, and the puck just weakly slid into Hellebuck, who makes the save. Will hang on for a stoppage, and we will get a face-off inside the Winnipeg end. 16:40 remaining in this third period. 3-0 St. Louis.
Winnipeg's flipped a couple of centers so far here in the third period. They've got Adam Lowry between Nino Niederreiter and Cole Perfetti, and Vlad Nemestikov between Brandon Tanev and Mason Appleton. So we'll see if that's a look that they continue with here in the third period. Obviously a whole bunch of size in Lowry and Niederreiter playing alongside Cole Perfetti.
Lowry will take the draw. 16:40 remaining in this third period. Winnipeg will win the draw. Luke Shen trying to move it up along the boards. Fanned on that. Snatched by Snuggerud. Stops and starts. Cutback move on the far side. Hash works his way into where the corner. Passed it back for Thomas. For Buchnevich in his skates. Fighting for it. There was Thomas, but Lowry came away with it. Lowry trying to get outside the zone. Snuggerud on the back, tracking on him. Just about kept it inside. And Winnipeg will finally exhaust it out towards center ice. To the near side. Buchnevich failed in trying to get it inside the Winnipeg end. Perfetti dumped it in from center ice. Binnington will stop that. Stick handle back in behind his own net. Put it out toward the line. Stopped by Miller. Rolled it back in behind the net. Grabbed there by Perfetti. Back toward the line. Intercepted by Buchnevich. And he'll softly send it off the boards. And it trickles down inside the Winnipeg end. Quick up pass now for Niederreiter. Spins at center ice. Does Niederreiter. Dumped it in. Neighbors finished his check-in on him. St. Louis will barge back out towards center ice. To the near side, Braden Shen. He sidestepped a check, lining him up with Stanley. It's rolled around to the far side. Winnipeg will expel it back out towards center ice. Quickly with some speed, Anderson Dolan races inside the zone. Put it out in front for Gustafsson. A shot. He scores! Excellent speed by that fourth line, and Jared Anderson Dolan. He won the foot race down inside the Blues end. Popped it back into where the slot. Nobody picked up David Gustafsson, who rips it home, and Winnipeg's on the board. It's 3-1 for the Blues with 15:28 remaining in this third period. A huge goal for David Gustafsson.
Mission number one accomplished for the Winnipeg Jets, and that's get that first one early in the third. And what an effort by Jared Anderson Dolan, just using that speed down the right wing wall to win the puck race, and then to have the presence of mind with two Blues converging on him, and one of them obviously forgetting about David Gustafsson. Just slips a perfect pass, and Gustafsson makes no mistake in front of Binnington.
Off the ensuing face-off. Here come the Blues again. Toropchenko sidesteps a check, and he will deposit it down inside that Winnipeg end. He got popped along the boards there by Nemestikov. Winnipeg will come away with a puck in Morrissey up along the boards for Brandon Tanev to center ice. He'll shoot it in. Broberg will turn his skates and go after it into the corner. Appleton quickly in on him. Appleton came away with a puck. Appleton stops and starts into the corner. Put it back toward the line. Pionk winds up, slap shot. It's off a stick and over the net. Kept in partially by Morrissey. Then it's thrust back out towards center ice. Jets will send it right back in by a broken scuttled stick. Broberg back after it. Appleton in on him. Center out of the near side. Helping out now is Falk. He weaves his way toward his own line. Moved it ahead on the far side for Snuggerud. He'll backhand it down inside that Winnipeg end. Hellebuck lost the puck. They score. There's the hat trick for Pavel Buchnevich. He stole the puck off Hellebuck back in behind the net. And the hats will rain down onto the ice surface at Enterprise Center.
Well, both goaltenders have kind of had their adventures playing the puck in this one, and it comes back to bite the Winnipeg Jets goaltender and Connor Hellebuck. And a tough time for it, too. Obviously, with Winnipeg getting themselves on the board, you could feel the momentum sliding towards Winnipeg, only to have it taken away with Buchnevich tucking in the hat-trick goal to restore that 3-goal cushion. And St. Louis's first goal in the third period in this series. It's kind of both Robert Thomas and Buchnevich converging on Connor Hellebuck behind the net.
So we're going to be delayed while they pick up the hats. Buchnevich with goals 1, 2, and 3 the postseason tonight. He had 20 on the regular season. And he has had an impact tonight. That's his 4th point. Gustafsson made it 3-1 at 4:32. Time of that goal for JS Furniture. Visit us online at furnitureandmore.ca. And then right back comes Buchnevich. And Winnipeg Jets hockey brought to you in part by Namath Diamonds, the Manitoba Physiotherapy Association, and of course, JS Furniture. And we'll see how Winnipeg reacts to now being behind by 3 once again.
And it's hard not to play kind of the what-if game, right? If the Perfetti goal counts, the Gustafsson goal goes, it's 3-2. Instead, it's 3-1. But I still like where Winnipeg was at 3-1 with 15:28 to go. But you knew that St. Louis, with all the questions about how they played in the third period in this series, especially after Winnipeg gets on the board, that there was going to be that kind of that pushback from St. Louis to try to stop any Winnipeg momentum, and that's kind of what we saw. They got in on the forecheck very quickly, and Robert Thomas, Connor Hellebuck was looking one way, didn't see Robert Thomas coming, and he's the one that closed off that gap. Mark Scheifele almost gets there to stop the Buchnevich backhander, but just doesn't quite have the leverage.
2 goals, 52 seconds apart. Winnipeg to get on the board at 3-1, and then Buchnevich to give his team the 3-goal lead again at 4-1 at 4:32, and then 5:24 the Buchnevich goal for JS Furniture. Visit us online at furnitureandmore.ca. 14:36 remaining in this third period. 4-1 St. Louis.
Well, and over that 12-game win streak that St. Louis had to close out the regular season, they averaged 4.62 goals scored per game and allowed just 1.92. So 4-1 score has kind of been the typical of St. Louis to close out the regular season on home ice anyways.
So we line it up at center ice, and now a hat has found its way back in tardy fashion onto the ice, and the puck just about hit the hat as it goes down inside the Winnipeg end. Luke Schenn rimmed it around the boards on the far side. Neighbors takes a hard body check there from Lowry. Moved it up along the boards now for Cole Perfetti. Chipped off the wall and a race down inside. Niederreiter cuts in for Perfetti, cutting toward the net, and he couldn't get a stick on it, went off his skates and washed in toward the corner. Good bull move again by Niederreiter, and Winnipeg getting themselves toward the net will get an offside call against the Blues at the Jets line, back the other way, and an excellent chance for Winnipeg to try to score to get within 2 once again. Winnipeg Jets hockey brought to you in part by Reliable Heating and Air Conditioning, Prairie Battery, and Jacuzzi, Manitoba.
Well, just the response you need if you're the Winnipeg Jets. You come right back at St. Louis on the very next shift. Nino Niederreiter using that size, getting down the wall and kind of shoveling that backhand past Cole Perfetti, just not quite able to get that thing toward the net.
Puck is slapped inside the zone by Leddy. Rolled around to the near side. After the puck back in behind the net, Zach Bolduc put it back toward the line for Leddy up top for Tucker. His slap shot blocked by David Gustafsson. A race down inside the zone. Gustafsson fell. He goes in toward the corner. Tucker will ride him there. Gustafsson, the goal scorer, after the puck again, stays on it. This fourth line getting some extra time here. Backhanded back in behind the net for Barron. Barron bumps there with Tucker. Rolled around to the far side, Bolduc. Bolduc sprayed the puck off the boards and out towards center ice, but it hit the Pacioretty glass over in front of the bench areas, and it comes down onto the ice, and then we get some pushing and shoving, multiple whistles going on, and Sundqvist right in the middle of that. Now he'll skate out of that pile as Miller's tangled up with Bolduc at the Jets line. That's a secondary scrum going on. Linesman moving to separate everybody. And I wonder, Winnipeg is not losing their cool, but you can tell they are frustrated and certainly ticked off with what's going on the ice right now. And maybe if you don't win the hockey game, you win the period and hope that some of that carries over to Sunday afternoon. 13 and a half remaining in this third period. We'll take a timeout on the ice to do the same on your radio. 4-1 St. Louis. You're listening to Play Now. Winnipeg Jets playoff hockey on the radio home of the Jets. Power 97 and 680 CJOB.
When you bet with Play Now Sports, goals become... Every game will feel like the big game. Bet local with Play Now Sports, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. 18 plus, enjoy responsibly.
Winnipeg, are you whiteout ready? Choose Hometown Pride. Choose 1919. Brewed by Little Brown Jug, Manitoba's flagship beer since 2016. Here's to building something memorable.
When the game really counts, you want to watch it on the big screen with great food and cheering fans. That's why Tavern United and Garbanzo Sports Pubs are Winnipeg's favorite destinations for playoff hockey. Want to experience a game in person? Tavern United and Garbanzo Sports Pubs are giving away tickets to the next home game. Plus, enjoy great food and beverage specials. Tavern United and Garbanzo Sports Pubs. Manitoba owned, Manitoba grown, and Manitoba proud. Canad Inns thanks you for supporting local. Proudly a part of your community since 1975. Enjoy responsibly.
If it sounds too good to be true, well, you know the rest. But I get it. Some deals sound tempting, like this guy.
These prices are insane! The boss has lost his mind!
When it comes to your home's heating system, do you really want to do business with a company that resorts to gimmicks like this? You could call them and see what they are really offering, and then give Mr. Furnace a call. In fact, they encourage you to call around and get quotes first, and then call Mr. Furnace. You'll see why. Give it a try. Call 204-832-6243.
This is your front row seat to all the action for Winnipeg Jets hockey on 680 CJOB.
After all of that, they have a penalty on the board and a power play. Penalty to the Jets, power play to the advantage of the Blues. As we welcome you back to St. Louis, 4-1 for the Blues, 13 and a half remaining third period. We do it to the left of Hellebuck. Stanley is in the penalty box. Miller is in the penalty box. So there was two Jets and one Blue back toward the line on the far side. Rink wide, Fowler's pass knocked off a stick there and out towards center ice of Iafallo, and he'll force the play back inside of that Blues end. Fowler onto the far side. Now it's dropped at center ice for Thomas. Thomas carves his way through that neutral ice. Couldn't penetrate the line. Neighbors knocked it back towards center ice. Now Buchnevich with 3 goals here tonight. A 4-point game to the near side. Into where the slot for Fowler. Fowler will settle it down. Try to Pass it over on the far side. Broken up by Morgan Barron, who sent it back out towards center ice. Dumped right back inside the zone. Rolled around by Winnipeg, but not out. Kept in by Thomas. Thomas into the corner for Neighbors. Pushed against the boards by Pionk. After it is Tanev. Tanev rolled it back in behind the net. And Neighbors is shaken up, slow to get up. There's a whistle, a penalty coming up to Neil Pionk. And there's the frustrations coming out in the Winnipeg Jets now.
Yeah, 100%. And this Neil Pionk takes Neighbors into the boards. Nothing wrong with the initial check. It's likely afterwards when Neighbors was down that Pionk gave him the extra shot. And of course, the officials now are not going to waste any time in terms of dishing out roughing penalties just to make sure that things stay on the rails here. But like you mentioned, Paul, like Winnipeg just at a level where they're frustrated with this one and felt like they could have been within 2 before the end of the second period. You get one early in the third, but kind of all game St. Louis has kind of been pushing and shoving it in their face, and not an easy game to play if you're Winnipeg, but it was exactly, I think, the type of game that they were expecting from a desperate St. Louis team. See coaches on both sides drawing things up right now. Obviously, it's a opportunity here for St. Louis on a 5-on-3.
So Bolduc gets a roughing penalty. Miller and Stanley both for roughing as well. That puts St. Louis on the first power play. And then Pionk for roughing gives them the second power play and a 2-minute advantage for 1:09 now. It's power plays 4 and 5 for the Blues at 6:30 and 7:21 respectively. 5-on-3 for St. Louis. Winnipeg won the draw, trying to get it out. Lowry, he does. Lowry will knock it ahead. Lowry at center will backhand it down weakly inside that Blues end. Lowry is one of 2 Jets to score a shorthanded goal in the playoffs. The other, and there's only 2 of them, Brian Little. Winnipeg will send it all the way back down inside of that St. Louis end. Another nice play by Luke Schenn. Here come the Blues through the neutral ice on the far side. Thomas kicked it from his skate to his stick. Lost the puck, swept back toward the line. That stopped near side. Kyrou moves in, shoots and scores. Five to 1 St. Louis. It's a power play goal, their second of the night. And it's their largest lead of the night, which is 4. And Kyrou gets on the board. And still one more power play to go.
Yeah, and there was a Jet and a Blue kind of get tangled up along the boards on the far side. And as soon as that happens, you end up with a 4-on-2 coming right downhill, and that's almost impossible to defend. Schenn is net front right behind Dylan Sandberg. So when this pass gets dished over to Jordan Kyrou, he gets himself right into the slot. He's got a screen. It's going to be a near impossible stop for Connor Hellebuyck.
12 minutes to go in the third period. 5-1. St. Louis. Snuggerud will pass it off now for Falk to the near side. Shot in, rolled around to the far side. Neighbors now to the near side again for Falk. Will hold the line. It's power play number 5 for St. Louis. Lead pass from Morgan Barron off the stick and flounders down inside of that Blues end. Barron goes after it behind the net. Takes a hard body check there. Gets tangled up with Colton Parayko. Puck is moved out towards center ice by Sundqvist. Dumped inside the Winnipeg end. Stopped by Hellebuyck. Shoveled it into where the corner on the far side for Luke Schenn. Tried to roll it around. Hit a body. Goes back in behind the Winnipeg net. Fans are all over this here tonight. It will be interesting to see what happens coming up at noon on Sunday in game number 4. Winnipeg will shoot it all the way down the ice. 29 seconds to go in the penalty to Neil Pionk.
Yeah, and of course for Winnipeg, you're looking ahead to game 4. The onus is going to be all about the start. That's kind of what really did in Winnipeg in this one.
St. Louis across the line to the near side. Buchnevich back up top for Kyrou. Far side for Leddy. In toward the corner of the far side for Thomas. Thomas stops and starts back toward the line for Broberg. Near side for Leddy. Kicked it from his skate to his stick. Pushed it into where the corner. 2 Jets in on him. Can't come up with a puck. Morrissey will slam Buchnevich in along the boards. It came back toward the line. It bounced over to the far side away from Broberg, and Phil Broberg will have to amble back inside his own zone. Winnipeg will make some changes. Penalties are over. Now Pionk is out of the penalty box. St. Louis 2 for 5 with a man advantage. They came across the line, and Texier just slipped a check there from Stanley. Rolled into where the corner for Walker. Back in behind the net for Texier. Texier trying to roll off a check. Cole Perfetti will pin him against the boards, staple him there, in fact, and now they're rolling along the boards into where the corner again. Walker there to help out. Walker slides along the boards to the near side corner, back toward the line for Parayko. Parayko will supplely nudge it into where the corner, the near side for Texier. Texier back to the side of the slot for Walker, back toward the line, and coming right down Main Street was Fowler. He couldn't get a stick on it. He rambles back toward the line to hold the line to Cam Fowler. Snapped it in toward the corner. Winnipeg rolled it around to the far side for Luke Shen. He'll look up ice. Shen a little slow to move the puck. He got taken off the puck there. Stays inside the zone. Out of the shot, they score. Alexei Toropchenko. The puck found Neighbors. He shot it toward the net. Toropchenko redirected it to the top shelf, and it's 6-1 St. Louis.
Talk about a hard check, and that's exactly what Luke Shen takes. And you know it's going to be a thunderous check if it knocks Luke Shen off his skates, and just not quite able to recover in time to cover up on Toropchenko, who's going to the net. Looks like the Jets are going to make a goaltending change here. Get Connor Hellebuck out, get him ready to refocus on Game 4. Eric Comrie's going to come in.
This is the first goalie pull this season for the Winnipeg Jets. Yes, there was a game back in March where both goalies in Seattle had to play the game, but that was because of concussion protocol for Comrie, and Hellebuck had to come in. This is the first pull this year for Connor Hellebuck. And this is more of a mercy pull than anything else at this point. 6-1 St. Louis. And this series will be going back to Winnipeg for game number 5 on Wednesday night. 9 minutes to go in this third. And Winnipeg has not looked like the team that we saw in southern Manitoba for the first 2 games. To the near side, across the line, Appleton stops up. Appleton put it back toward the line for Morrissey. Up top now, Pionk winds up, slap shot fired it wide. Nor has the St. Louis Blues looked like the same team in southern Manitoba, for that matter, in the first 2 games.
Yeah, they've absolutely taken it up a level, and that's no surprise. You're down 2-0 coming back to your own building.
And now we're going to get a whistle. And some fighting going on at the Blues blue line. Nemestikov got in the midst of that. Morrissey's there with Broberg as well. Pionk and Neighbors. They've separated Braden Shen. One of the Jets goes down with Broberg on Morrissey. Niederreiter pulling him off. Falk comes in to give a strong arm on Niederreiter. This all happened right at the Blues blue line in front of the St. Louis bench.
And you could see why Nemestikov was upset. He was just coming in to get in the battle, and he was kind of low and was trying to get low body position, and Shen throws a cross check right into his neck/shoulder area. So that's what made Nemestikov upset, and then that's just going to bring the whole crowd in.
And then Braden Shen fed Nemestikov when the pileup was happening, a few uppercuts. And we'll get way more penalties out of this with 8:38 remaining in this third period, 6-1.
Penalty for roughing and 10-minute misconduct. Winnipeg number 7 has a 10-minute misconduct.
So Braden Shen 2 and 10. Vladislav Nemestikov 10. They'll both be done for the night.
Yeah, and I think 10s will be a little bit more common if this keeps up, especially in the final 10 minutes here. It's been physical. It's been kind of exactly what Winnipeg predicted, but even then, like you said, St. Louis has just kind of found another level in this one.
8:38 remaining in this third period. It's all Blues. 6-1, they lead it. Back after these, you're listening to Play Now, Winnipeg Jets playoff hockey on the radio over the Jets, Power 97 and 680 CJOB.
Cambrian Credit Union helps Manitobans plan for every financial milestone, big and small. All this while giving back to the community.
Hey sports fans, it's TSI Mike. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. It's that time of the show. Please let us know where you're watching from in the chat. Where in the world are you hanging out with us at? Let us know your city and province, city and state if you're in the United States, city and country flag all over the world. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and letting us know and everyone know where you're watching. And also, you can check out that link that's pinned in the chat and in the description, our live viewers tab on our website, and go see where everybody's watching from.
Where in the world are you watching from? Now's the time to show for you to let us know where you're watching from in that chat or by visiting our new live viewers website. Holy Mackinac! As we are passing 100,000 insiders on Toronto Sports Insider, the playoff pulse is a global force. Visit TorontoSportsInsider.com to see our live viewer map and where fans are cheering from right across the globe. While you're there, check out our awesome new website and fresh merch options. Let's keep growing this global community.
Jets on the Prairie Battery Power Play, your one-stop battery source is Winnipeg-born and Canadian-owned, prairiebattery.ca. 6-1 for St. Louis. 8:20 remaining in this third period. And Winnipeg with their second power play of this period. And Scheifele trying to move it to the near side for Kyle Connor off a stick. He has Dark back inside his own zone and start again. Scheifele through that neutral ice to the near side. He'll pass it off for Iafallo. Down along the boards, he'll carry it in toward the corner. Under 8 minutes remaining in this third period. Winnipeg gave it up, and it's sent all the way down the ice by Radek Faksa.
And a quick change by that unit, just really not able to get much. They got the zone entry, but a quick turnover, and St. Louis sends the puck down the ice.
Appleton out towards center ice. He dumped it in, took a hard body check on the far side. Winnipeg goes after it in Niederreiter. Niederreiter shoots it around to the far side for Appleton. He protects the puck, popped it back toward the line. Near side slap shot, Miller. He broke his stick in half. Goes into toward the corner, trying to protect it there to the near side is Niederreiter. He ambles by that broken stick. Got it to the far side, back toward the line. Miller again, slap shot blocked by Walker. Came back to Miller again. Near side, Pionk shooting, scores! Neil Pionk with a one-time slap shot from the point. Beat Jordan Binnington under the bar. It's a power play goal for Winnipeg. And it's 6-2 St. Louis with 7:10 remaining in this third period.
And if anything there for Winnipeg, it's just kind of gets your power play rolling a little bit. There wasn't a whole lot of momentum going for Winnipeg on the power play. They had some chances that just, but you know, players on those power play units that they need to see some pucks go in. So nice for that unit to be able to get one, but absolute shot mentality, right? You saw Colin Miller blasting away, broke a stick, came back, blasted again, that got blocked, and then Neil Pionk, his first opportunity, he let it fly, but great puck protection earlier in the shift by Nino Niederreiter to allow Winnipeg to keep possession.
Pionk's first from Miller at 12:50 unofficially. Time of the goal for JS Furniture. Visit us online at furnitureandmore.ca. Get a face-off in the neutral ice area, an offside call against the Jets. Also, folks, stay tuned for the game's 3 stars tonight. For Shine Dental, don't miss out on life's appetizing offerings because of ill-fitting dentures. Get set right with shinedental.ca. 7:04 remaining third period, 6-2 St. Louis. And they've had their breakout third period after being stymied in the first 2 games in the third. Long slap shot by Luke Schenn, stopped by Binnington, and then a crowd gathers again in front of the St. Louis goal. Nothing will become of that.
Power play goal at 12:15. Pionk assisted by
Mason Appleton picking up a secondary assist as well on the Neil Pionk power play goal. And now this is the tough minute. You're just trying to find some momentum to carry you in. What kind of matchups can you find? What kind of good habits can you instill? Try to get yourself something out of this game, because that's the important part going into Game 4. It's also going to be, the kind of the fourth of four kind of odd start times in this series. It's kind of one of those wake up and get right at it. Sometimes it's difficult to play a postseason game at noon, but Winnipeg's got to find a way to do it and start strongly. So the work almost begins now.
Face off to the left of Binnington. So Comrie's in net, by the way. He came in a few minutes ago, and this is his first playoff action of his career. Back in behind the net. Leddy up along the boards, and the puck dribbles out towards center ice. Winnipeg will discard it and send it right back inside that Blues end. Binnington will roll it around to the near side. Pulled off the wall there by Walker. Send it toward the middle of the ice. Toropchenko and across the line. He'll backhand it back in behind the net. Sharking after it. Luke Shen rolled it around. Anderson Dolan will just punch it back out towards center ice. 6:20 remaining third period. 6-2 for St. Louis. Niederreiter steals the puck at center ice. Crossed over the line. Twisted off that puck. Got rattled there on the near side by Buchnevich. Out towards center ice. Long slap in again by Pionk. Stopped by Binnington. Sit back toward the line. Winnipeg can't hold it. Dumped out towards center ice on the stick of Buchnevich with 3 goals tonight. He'll backhand it softly inside the Winnipeg end. Sandberg into where the middle now for Lowry. Lowry for Niederreiter. Cross ice pass to jump up there is Neil Pionk. Swings away and 180's away from the check and we'll dump it in. Lowry goes back after it. It squirts off the back wall right to the side of the net. We get a stoppage. Cole Perfetti pushing and shoving. Lowry is coming in to help out, as there was a liberty taken with a bigger man on Cole Perfetti. And was that Buchnevich? Yes, it was. He's been a hard player to play against tonight for the Winnipeg Jets in a couple of categories. He's been tenacious going toward the net, defending his own, and he also has 3 goals in the night. By the way, shots on goal, 25-18 for St. Louis. Shots on goal totals are for Dr. J's Men's Sexual Health Clinic. Need to perform better in the bedroom? See the top-rated doctor on Google and rate MD. Visit Dr. J at WinnipegClinic.com. Back after these, 5:40 remaining in the third. It's all Blues. They lead at 6-2. You're listening to Play Now, Winnipeg Jets playoff hockey on Power 97 and 680 CJOB.
When games are played, when there's a trade, sports news has been made. You'll hear all about it. 25 after the hour on 680 CJOB.
Hey Jets fans, get ready for the Winnipeg Whiteout with Jets gear and TrueNorthShop.com. Choose from a huge variety of official Winnipeg Jets Whiteout apparel, headwear, novelties, and more. Need a new white hat, t-shirt, pants, or a jersey? We've got you covered.
Moving in, shooting.
Shop online at TrueNorthShop.com or by visiting one of our Jets gear store locations.
When you bet with Play Now Sports, goals become... Every game will feel like the big game. Bet local with Play Now Sports, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. 18 plus, enjoy responsibly.
Boston Pizza is Canada's go-to place for playoffs. So this year, we're doing more than just hoping a Canadian team wins it all. We're manifesting it. We're planning the parade. We even got a bus. And we've got the sports bar dialed in with ice-cold draft beer and an elite playoff menu. Like the guy in the movie said, kind of.
If we plan it, we will win.
So when it's game day, post up early at BP and cheer for the Holy Grail to come home.
The official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. This is Play Now Winnipeg Jets Hockey.
5:40 remaining in this third period. 6-2 St. Louis. We do it to the right of Binnington. Shifley will take the draw. Thomas will win it. Moved up along the boards and floated out towards center ice. Discarded there by Miller up along the boards, but it finds the stick of Iafallo. He trucks inside the zone, turning that puck toward the net. He tried to one-hand it there, barging in toward the middle of the ice. Got in a little too tight. Came back toward the line. Held by Morrissey, near side, wrist shot. That went wide on the short side. Grabbed again by Connor. Arced off the boards, didn't shoot the puck. Twisting and turning back toward the line. Miller, slap shot, and he fanned on that off the heel of the stick. Bounced around to the near side. Parayko comes back deeper inside his own zone. Moved it up along the boards. Intercepted now by Iafallo. Far side for Connor. Swing and a miss. He grabbed it again. Back toward the line for Morrissey. Moving in, shooting. And he ripped it wide with a wrist shot over to the far side. Miller can't hold the line. He gave it away. Snuggerud dances out towards center ice. And he will sit it down inside the Winnipeg end.
A good shift from Winnipeg, forcing a turnover high in the zone, does Alex Iafallo, and then that usually allows Winnipeg to go to work and create a couple of looks that they do there.
Miller moved it ahead for David Gustafsson. He scored a goal tonight. Redirected down inside that Blues end. Rolled around to the far side. Stopped there again by Broberg. Rolled around to the near side for his D partner in Falk. His shot will go off a body and out towards center ice. Spills back inside the Winnipeg end. Luke Schenn will send it out towards center ice. Winnipeg trying to steal the puck. Blues back inside their own zone to recover. Broberg will spin away from the check. Move it out towards center ice. Make a nice move. Anderson Dolan finished his check on him. Not before it's deposited down inside the Winnipeg end. Luke Schenn to the near side. Now for Niederreiter. Stops at center ice and dumps it back inside the Blues end. Binnington will stop that. Roll it back in behind his own net for Leddy. Indirect and out towards center ice for Neighbors to the near side for Faxon moving in. Back in front of the net for Toropchenko going towards the goal. And he was taken off stride. Stanley's grabbed Faxa. Whistle's going to go. Stanley's grabbed Faxa. He gave him a punch with the right hand. Stanley will be gone for the rest of the night. Faxa's had his helmet removed. 3:48 remaining in the third period. 6-2. For St. Louis.
Yeah, I think Faxa, he'll be done as well.
Winnipeg 64. 4-minute double-minded roughing and a 10-minute misconduct.
Yep.
I thought they might send Faxa as well, but it's going to be just Stanley. And that's frustration too. Stanley earlier in the shift was, I think, upset because when he went back to retrieve a puck, Bolduc finished his check. That's fine. It's the leap into Stanley against the boards that I don't think Stanley loved. So he was already kind of in a foul mood on the shift, and then he and Faxa kind of get tied up after Faxa's play to the net as Stanley finishes his check.
Well, show us how you celebrate the Winnipeg Jets whiteout, presented by Princess Auto, for a chance to win tickets to a 2025 playoff game. Show the Jets how you do the whiteout with decorations, costume, or any other way you cheer on the Jets at winnipegjets.com/whiteoutmania for a chance to win tickets or to be featured in team content.
Just waiting for Winnipeg to send a player across to serve for Logan Stanley. It'll be Cole Perfetti.
So another power play for the Blues. It's their sixth. They're 2 for 5 tonight. Fowler, far side, slap shot, Parayko, they score. Colton Parayko with a one-timer off the face-off win. 7-2, St. Louis.
And this is interesting. Adam Lowry is quite upset. Right after that goal, he went right over to Kyle Raymond and started to chat. Then he started looking right toward the Blues bench. And I'm wondering if they're upset because it was the top power play unit for St. Louis that hopped over the boards at a 6-2 game late. And those are the little things that, Winnipeg can kind of look at heading into game 4.
Well, Winnipeg is still shorthanded. It's the 7th power play now of the night for St. Louis. Radek Faxa weaving his way through the neutral ice. 5-goal lead. Parayko from Fowler. Big night for Cam Fowler. And Jake Neighbors as well. Winnipeg. Fowler will go after the puck as Winnipeg will dump it in. Iafallo will send it around back in behind the net. Walker trying to dig it off the boards and Fax out of the far side. 3 minutes remaining in this third period. Winnipeg retreats and wants a line change. 7-2 St. Louis. St. Louis will set it up in front of their own net. And now hopping toward his own line is Falk. To center ice, he'll shoot it in. Rolls around to the far side. Pulled off the wall there by Tanev. Tanev back in behind his own net, and he ran in to one of the St. Louis Blues along the back wall. That is Bolduc. Penalty coming up against St. Louis. And now Luke Shen has pushed one of the Blues to the back wall. Linesmen move in to break that up. And that is Jimmy Snuggerud, the youngster, the 20-year-old out of the University of Minnesota. And then Texier said something to Luke Shen. Shen gave him a little cross-check.
Yeah, Winnipeg's just flat out angry.
Minor for cross-checking.
Oh, so the penalty's going to Luke Shen for cross-checking. So this will be power play number 8. And a 49-second 5-on-3. It's the second 5-on-3 of this third period. There was one that was 1 minute and 9 seconds long that St. Louis did score on one of the power plays on.
And it will not be the top unit this time from St. Louis, but they gave Luke Shen kind of that first cross-check, but the second one on Snuggerud is the one they called.
Back toward the line, up top, Fowler again. Fowler right side point on a face-off win. Now for Parayko, for Fowler up top. Fowler to the near side, into toward the corner, back toward the line. Far side, Parayko slap shot. That whistles wide and maybe grazed off a jet. Bounced into toward the corner again. Back toward the line here, Fowler knocked off his stick. Lowry will pick that up. Lowry to foot race with Parayko. Lowry moving in. Tried to squeeze off his shot on a forehand. Fanned on it, turned and got a backhand toward the net. That was stopped. Back the other way come the Blues. Couple of nice moves to the near side. Faxa back it in front. Texier. And he had a jam job. Got in tight on Comrie. And Comrie made the save. Back toward the line. Falk shoots. Stopped by Comrie. It's underneath him. And he'll hang on for a whistle. 1:49 remaining in this third period. So game number 4 at noon on Sunday from right here in St. Louis. Game 5 Wednesday night in Winnipeg, and I believe the time to be determined still.
Yeah, time still to be determined on that one, and I would imagine that would come pretty quickly in the next day or so from the National Hockey League, usually shortly after the game is required, and that's when the time tends to come out, but obviously a lot of things to think about for Winnipeg here.
Blues win the draw, back toward the line. Broberg shoots, stopped by Comrie, rebound, flush back out towards center ice. Now Perfetti is out of the penalty box after serving the one minor, or the minor to Logan Stanley. Stanley's also had a misconduct, so he's done for the night. And Winnipeg is back to a 5-on-4 situation against. It's power play number 8 for St. Louis. To the near side, Sundqvist tried to throw it into where the slot. Texier had that go the wrong way on him. Grabbed by Appleton and ripped all the way down the ice. 1:10 to go in the third period. 7-2 for St. Louis.
Well, the thing about the Stanley Cup playoffs is you know adversity is going to come. And for the Winnipeg Jets, they've had some injury adversity already. Now it's how do you respond after a game like this one?
Tanev across the line, backs his way in. Under a minute to go. Fans will get on their feet. Snatched off the sideboards by Walker, sent out towards center ice. Pionk with it. Sends it right back in, right on top of Binnington. Knocked into the corner. 35 seconds to go. Tucker onto the far side for Leddy. For Walker. Into where the slot. Cutting toward the net. Trying to get a shot away. It was taken off stride. And that was Toropchenko. Winnipeg back out towards center ice. 20 seconds to go. Anderson Dolan will knock it inside the Blues end. He stays on the puck, bumps with his man in Faxa. Still after, takes a cross check to the near side here from Walker. Bounced into where the corner, around the boards, and flushed out towards center ice. That'll do it here tonight. And Morgan Barron throwing a couple of cross checks on Nathan Walker. And more scrumming going on in front of the penalty box area now. And Winnipeg just a frustrated lot of Manitobans right now. And St. Louis, full marks for this victory tonight. From start to finish, they were the best team. And you know what? We've got a series, Mitchell Clinton.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was expecting this one to be a sweeper or a short one, so you knew the counter punch was coming from the St. Louis Blues. They landed it squarely here in game number 3 on home ice. Now it's a matter of how Winnipeg responds. It's kind of been the storyline leading into the postseason. How would Winnipeg respond to some adversity? We've seen early on they've responded to the injury adversity quite well. Now it's how do you bounce back from a tough loss?
Winnipeg still leads the series, but they will have to get up off the mat. An early one coming up on Sunday for Game 4. A noon start. Kelly Moore will be by with friends at 10 o'clock in the morning with the pregame show. But there's so much more before then. The postgame show is coming up next. The final score here tonight. The St. Louis Blues 7. The Winnipeg Jets 2. The Jets lead the series 2-1. As mentioned, totals and the post game are next. You're listening to Play Now, Winnipeg Jets playoff hockey on the radio home of the Jets, Power 97 and 680 CJOB.
You are it as well. I felt myself in those moments there defaulting to the more defensive side of the game. And then I played with my right winger, who I won.
To every child and family who've needed us since 1875, and all who support us, our hospital needs no introduction. But just in case, it's SickKids. And it's our 150th birthday. Our mission has always been healthier children, a better world. The first children's hospital in Canada, SickKids. Pasteurizing milk to prevent disease 30 years before it was mandatory. The heart-lung machine that transformed open heart surgery. A pediatric kidney transplant in 1969. SickKids. SickKids. And SickKids. We discovered the gene for cystic fibrosis so patients live longer lives. And we just created the world's first Atlas of Cancer using machine learning to analyze 13,000 variations. Today, the hospital sees over 130,000 patients a year. We're a research powerhouse, a training magnet, attracting nearly 600 clinical and research fellows from around the globe every year. And we're the #1 publicly funded children's hospital in the world. We're celebrating 150 years of excellence, driven by philanthropy. What's next? Thanks to donors like you, we're going to keep healing Canada and the world, and we're going to heal the future.
5th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In the NHL playoffs, 7 p.m., Montreal Canadiens face the Washington Capitals. Canadiens on Sirius and XM channels 91, Internet 934, Capitals on Internet 950. 8 p.m., New Jersey Devils take on the Carolina Hurricanes. Devils on Sirius 211, XM 219, and Internet 936. Hurricanes on Internet 924. 10 p.m., Edmonton Oilers take on the LA Kings. Oilers on Sirius and XM channels 167, Internet 930. Kings on Sirius and XM channels 91, Internet 932. For 24/7 coverage of the NHL season and hockey across the world, keep it locked on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, channel 91. I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your Sirius XM NHL schedule for Friday, April the 25th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In the NHL playoffs, 7 p.m., Montreal Canadiens face the Washington Capitals. Canadiens on Sirius and XM channels 91, Internet 934, Capitals on Internet 950. 8 p.m., New Jersey Devils take on the Carolina Hurricanes. Devils on Sirius 211, XM 219, and Internet 936. Hurricanes on Internet 924. 10 p.m., Edmonton Oilers take on the LA Kings. Oilers on Sirius and XM channels 167, Internet 930. Kings on Sirius and XM channels 91, Internet 932. For 24/7 coverage of the NHL season and hockey across the world, keep it locked on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, channel 91. I'm Frank Trachtenberg with your Sirius XM NHL schedule for Friday, April the 25th. All times are Eastern, and please remember, all games, times, and channels are subject to change. Check SiriusXM.com for the latest updates. In the NHL playoffs, 7 p.m., Montreal Canadiens face the Washington Capitals. Canadiens on Sirius and XM channels 91, Internet 934, Capitals on Internet 950.
SiriusXM has soccer covered end to end. SiriusXM FC. Hear live play-by-play and talk shows hosted by legends of the game. It's SiriusXM FC on channel 157.
Tampa Bay Lightning head coach John Cooper stopped by for a morning skate with Gord Stellick and Scott Laughlin on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio on SiriusXM Channel 91 to talk the keys to his success over the years and the challenge of getting to the Stanley Cup Final 3 years in a row.
John, I'm going to ask you to be a little bit self-analytical and, being in the business that you're in and knowing how successful you've been and what drives you and motivates you. What do you think has been the key to your success over the years? I mean, every league you've been in, you've won, you've had the staying power, and you've had all kinds of championship pedigree. If you say, hey, look, I'm still going strong, I'm still chasing another ring, what is it that keeps you going, and what is it in particular that you feel has made you as successful as you've been?
I would say there's a couple things. Internally, it's the fire is still burning. And so I think that first and foremost is the biggest thing, because when you lose your passion for it, and I've watched it happen to people, then you might as well you should get yourself out, because you're just doing yourself and your team a disservice. So that passion is first and foremost the big thing. I would sit here say on the other side of things, like Jeff Vinik as an owner, and it kind of goes back to the previous question about stability. And that's one of the things we've had. And so Julian Breezeball was my general manager in the minors and now the NHL. So we've been together for how many years? We had Steve Yzerman in the early part of that, and he kind of was like the mentor. He was the actual one that brought me in, but we've had that stability. Only 2 GMs, but both of them work together. We've had one owner, one coach, basically, since I've been there, one captain. And it's this core group of guys that have all stuck together. And I think we've kind of, I don't know how to explain it. You've kind of passed the coach-player relationship because we've been there so long, and we all just have this common goal of what we need to do. And there's a lot of pride, a lot of passion with the group of guys we have, and then Julian's done a great job of kind of filling in. And when I say fill in, it's like getting the Nick Pauls, getting the Brandon Hagels, guys that are still long-term guys but that weren't, pseudo drafted into our system. And it's, we've been really fortunate that it's worked out the way it has, but I truly believe the stability, the belief, and the passion of the same group of people that have been together, and that's what's really helped us. It takes its toll, both physically and mentally, and I give our players credit, to come back and make the playoffs the next year, but, now we've been one and done.